Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Thursday, November 14th, 8:47 a.m., and we are back once again. We got a lot of stuff going on this morning, folks. Yesterday, we saw Bitcoin go all the way to 93,000. We're a little bit above that 50,000 range. Currently, in the pre-markets, we are trying to break 91,000 once again. So we're going to keep an eye on Bitcoin throughout the entire day and see if momentum can continue for that asset. On top of that, we got jobs data and PPI data that is a little bit hotter than expected. Markets are reacting in a way that's relatively flat. Markets don't care too much, but the probability on rate cuts do care a little bit more than the S&P 500 does in terms of the data we got this morning. And so we'll be discussing that. And then we have Disney earnings as well. Disney's up 10% right now. So Disney, pretty decent earnings. Market likes it. Their stock is up 10%. And so we're going to be discussing all of that and keep going forward with everything else that we've got going on. Amit, you sound a little under the weather. Are you getting sick of us? You know, it's so funny you bring this up. I was going to mention this. I forgot to say this. I slept last night from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I have not slept from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in God knows how long. Even my dad this morning, he was like, bro, are you awake yet? You've been sleeping since 7 p.m. I don't know what and the amount of dreams I had last night, I don't even want to get it. Dude, I was on a cruise, fucking Chris talking about all this Carnival cruise shit. I was on a cruise. It was a weird cruise. I can't even remember some of the craziness of my dreams last night, but I slept last night. I slept for a long time, but I think I needed it because I've been sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night and probably needed to actually get some sleep. So we got some sleep and we're back. And so we got some stuff to analyze on the Market Open. And I think it was good. It was good that we got some sleep. It was good that we got that out of the way. And it's the first time I slept. Dude, even on Saturdays, I don't sleep that long. So I don't know what happened last night, but I definitely slept. All right, here we go. Let's get into what we got on the Market Open. So S&P 500 is green right now, up 0.05%. Now, S&P 500 is green, but what is a little worrying, and this is kind of what we talked about yesterday on the market close, is that the CME futures are down. This just refreshed. Yeah, here we go. So 76% of participants now expect that we are going to get a rate cut. This number yesterday was 82.5. At 4 p.m., at 9:30 a.m., it was 85, and a couple days ago, it was 92. So this number is down about 20% from 92 to 76. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is that number down? Why do less and less people think we have a chance of a rate cut? Well, that's because PPI came in at 2.4% year over year versus expectations of 2.3%. Also, on the monthly, we came in a little bit hotter than expected by about 0.1%. That's not good. Just to be dead honest, that's not good to have that PPI go higher than expected. Again, PPI, producer price index, it's how much people are paying for the goods that they're creating that ultimately we as consumers have to pay for. It makes sense that PPI went up because CPI went up yesterday from 2.4 to 2.6. So if, consumers are paying more, then it's likely because producers are charging more for their prices. And the 10-year, as you can see right here, here's an updated view of the 10-year. 10-year spiked. 10-year spike. We have not seen 4.47 in a while. Yesterday, I think we got to 4.46, 4.45. Now we are getting to the point where that 4 next to the 7 might end up turning into a legitimate 5, and we would get a 4.5. So that 10-year is spiking kind of on this idea that, wait a second, is inflation actually going away? Now, look, and from the data I'm looking at, I do think inflation is going down. Shelter is still lagging. Energy is going down nicely. But now inflation is going to get harder to go down. It's kind of like we used this metaphor before, but if you weigh 200 pounds, it's easier to get to 150, but then to get from 150 to 130, it's harder because you've already lost the bulk of the weight that was excess on you. And now to get, even skinnier, it's just tougher, right? You're going to have to put in a lot more work. Same thing with inflation. I mean, to get from 10% to 5% was relatively easy. It took us a couple months. To get from 5% to 3% was hard. It took us about 7 more months. Now we got from 3% to 2.6, but to get from 2.6 to 2, which is the Fed's target, is not going to be as easy. So you got the S&P that's green right here. The Qs are slightly red. Yesterday was the 3rd red day in the row for the Qs. So if that trend breaks, because we have not had 4 red days in a row in 2024 for the Qs, then maybe today we end up going green. And then IWM, I would imagine, is slightly up right now. It was down yesterday about 1%. Inflation going higher is not the best for IWM because that reduces the chance for a rate cut. I don't think we still avoid the December rate cut. We are going to get December or November's data in December. Palantir right here up about 1% of the pre-markets on CPI, PPI, all that good stuff. So as long as November's data is decent, I think we get the rate cut in December. But if November's data kind of sucks, then we might not get that rate cut. Again, I still think that it's very unlikely we don't get the rate cut, just given the Fed's mandate around, actually getting us into a lower rate environment, particularly because they want the labor market to not get into a spiral. But, that is one of those things that we have to worry about. And it's one of the things David Einhorn was on CNBC yesterday talking about how he is very scared of inflation and making some bets that inflation is actually not going to go down for a long time. Based on the nature of Trump's policies, in particular with tariffs being more inflationary. Again, I don't think any of us know if it's actually going to be implemented in a way that's going to be super inflationary. We're going to have to find out as Trump actually implements them. But the perception from some parts of the market are that means inflation is not going to go away for a while. Bitcoin, 90,848. Bitcoin not really falling on that PPI news. I mean, it's down a little bit from that 91,000 level, but still doing very nicely. It got all the way to 89,154 last night. But now it's back at 90,850. So really, I mean, the fact that we've been hitting 90,000 for almost 3 days in a row, and we're holding above 90,000 yesterday, we were holding above 93 for a couple hours. It's incredible. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And we're seeing this with the momentum of Robinhood relisting Solana, Coinbase and Robinhood, number 1 and number 2 apps in finance. You have Coinbase listing a lot of these meme coins, retail starting to participate and starting to come back. As a result, Robinhood up about 2% in the pre-markets, MicroStrategy up 3.2%, CleanSpark up 0.5%, Marathon up 2%, Riot up 1%, BitX up 2%. And then let's check on Coinbase. Coinbase as well, up 2.3%. All of these stocks kind of fell 5 to 7%. Coinbase and MicroStrategy in particular yesterday, as Bitcoin fell from 93 to 89, they fell a little bit more, but they are starting to get eaten up in the pre-markets right now as Bitcoin reclaims that 90,000 level. HIMS right now, let's check on HIMS. HIMS is down 9%. Okay, so I know a lot of people are wondering why is HIMS down 9%. Before we get into HIMS, because I have the answer to that question. Real quick, Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab got upgraded from Cantor Fitzgerald to $24 and from Bank of America to $30. 10 to 30 on Rocket Lab. I'm going to read the report in a second after we talk about HIMS, but yeah, that is a hell of an upgrade, dude. A tripling of the price is like bullish. And so Bank of America, I think they have some of the best sell-side research on the street. We'll read the report, but tripling Rocket Lab from 10 to 30 means they see there's some type of potential. And really, what they're giving is a big middle finger to valuation as well. They're saying they're going to grow into that valuation, and they're not really that concerned about the 30 times price of sales because they see a larger moat. And so it does seem like the broader street's getting a little bit more excited about Rocket Lab. All right, so here is why HIMS is down 9%. Good old Amazon. Amazon is expanding into the telehealth business. Amazon expanding into its telehealth offering today by introducing low upfront pricing for common health concerns, offering pay-per-visit telehealth for 30 conditions, and expanding Amazon's pharmacy fast, free medication delivery. Prime members can now quickly and easily treat health, beauty, and lifestyle conditions for as low as $16 a month for men's hair loss, $10 a month for anti-aging skincare, and $19 a month for ED, otherwise known as erectile dysfunction. Rocket Lab has no problem with ED. Pay-per-visit pricing on demand messaging is available for $29 and video visits for $49. Clinical care will be available 24/7 and will integrate into seamlessly Amazon's pharmacy. Large cities like LA, New York, and Seattle will now have the same day medication delivery available for common medicines. The reason this is affecting HIMS right now is essentially the market saying, okay, well, wait a second. If Prime members can quickly access easy health resources and they don't have to go to this new website called HIMS, and they're already integrated into something called Amazon, which is a household name and literally in almost every single household in America via Prime, well, then why would they go to HIMS? Now, is that the best bear case for HIMS? I don't think so. I think there's other parts of the HIMS thesis. I wouldn't get super scared if I'm a HIMS shareholder because Amazon's getting involved. In fact, I think that's expanding the pie. But I could see the market's short-term reaction on HIMS down 7.6% based on the idea that Amazon could be taking a decent amount of market share at the end of the day. Now, remember, HIMS was up like 40% over the past couple weeks. So it also makes sense that the market's going to get any reason to take profits. And if this is, something that they think is scary, like Amazon entering your space, then they're going to take some profits. But we also knew Amazon was entering into telehealth for like the past year. I guess today made it a little bit more official in terms of what they're trying to do. But I don't know if this is the most bearish thing for Hims in and of itself. What is funny about this is Hims has had to deal with wild things, from FDA approvals to GLP-1 supply demand problems to Amazon entering their space, and still they've grown rapidly. So I think this is a company that's relatively resilient, and they can continue growing. If we see any decline in growth over the next 2 quarters, I think they can get punished. And it's not because, going from 70% to 50% growth is necessarily bad. It's just that if the market thinks the perception is that they are, at the end of the day, a company with zero moat, which again, you can make the argument they're an e-commerce place selling a product that can be found anywhere. They're selling it for a cheap monthly subscription. Well, now Amazon's selling it for a cheap monthly subscription. If they are seen as declining growth and the no moat conversation comes up, then I think that could be problematic for Hims. But as of now, I don't think this Amazon news is necessarily the reason why, Hims is dead as a company. But you could obviously see why, the market takes it down 9% right here. It does show how volatile and fragile their perception is in the market, right? Like, for example, Robinhood relisted Solana yesterday. Coinbase wasn't down on that news, right? Like Coinbase was fine, right? The market was like, okay, so Robinhood and Coinbase have Solana. So if Hims sells a certain product and then Amazon starts selling a certain product and the market's like, oh, we got to take Amazon down 9%, it does show the market is afraid that Hims does not really have the wherewithal to survive, which they could be wrong about, but at least that's what they're saying right now around competitors entering into their space. So that is the reason why Hims is down. I think the put premiums are going to get really good on Hims. If you're trying to get into that position, this will make those put premiums even better today. But that is the main reason, it seems like, in my opinion, why Hims is currently down right now. We'll talk about Disney in a second. Let's quickly do Rocket Lab real quick. So here's what we got on Rocket Lab. This is the Bank of America price target upgrade. So Bank of America says Rocket Lab's capabilities in launch and spacecraft development are advancing in its goal to becoming a critical end-to-end space provider. Electron continues to attract bookings and deliver successful launches, while development of Neutron marches towards a 2025 debut. Space Systems execution on complex missions for key customers is generating growth and opportunities above expectations. We reiterate our buy rating and raise our price target to 30 to reflect stronger free cash flow in Space Systems and Electron profitability, as well as a lower discount rate on a lower market risk and beta as Neutron de-risks and Rocket Lab emerges as a key space prime. Our price target is an average of bull, bear, base, and long-term scenarios that result in a present value of 45, 30, and 15. So bear case 15, which is kind of where it's at right now. It's at 18, but it's basically at that level. Bull case 30, or base case 30, and then super bull case you have at 45. This is a very, very positive review from Bank of America in the context of Rocket Lab. And I think right here, this is the most important part of this report. Lower, as well as a lower discount rate because of lower market risk. So they're lowering the discount rate they use in their model because they think Neutron is getting de-risked as they are signing new contracts. They are getting paid per launch, and they are ultimately growing into the ability to become one of the, in the words of Bank of America, key space primes. If Rocket Lab is up there with SpaceX and a couple other companies as key space primes, yeah, Rocket Lab's going to go a lot higher, right? I mean, it's inevitable. They're going to win a lot more contracts internationally too, not just in the United States. And Rocket Lab has a lot of experience winning some international contracts outside of just depending on NASA and the United States. So there you go. Market's excited for Rocket Lab. It would not surprise me if Rocket Lab takes a breather. It was up 20% yesterday. It was up 52% at one point and then came right back down to 28%. Currently, the pre-market's down about 0.37%. You'll probably have some people take profits, but it looks like now the dip, I mean, if this thing goes back to 14 or 15, like where it was right before earnings, I think people will be buyers. I think people will definitely be sellers of puts. Those premiums will be pretty damn good. And if they get assigned on those shares, they wouldn't get too upset. So I don't think it has to go down to 14, but it might take a little bit of a breather today after going up a lot over the past couple of days. Or the fact that it went to 22 yesterday might just signal that any dip, even if it's slight, people buy it up and this thing goes back above 20. Momentum is there with Rocket Lab. I think it's going to take a couple of days to see what direction the stock kind of wants to go in. But all the right things are happening for this company in regards to execution and also from street analysts. So there you go. PPI already happened. Correct. PPI did happen. We came in at 2.4 versus 2.3. Market doesn't care too much about that. I think the market kind of expected that. 597.04 on the S&P 500. We also had initial jobless claims that came in at 217,000 over 221,000 expected. So less people than expected, slightly filed for unemployment, which is good. And overall, the market didn't care too much about those job numbers or PPI numbers, at least yet. We'll see when the market opens, kind of how the market thinks of it. But as of now, that's what the market's saying. Okay, let's talk about Disney. So Disney stock is up 10%. Now, yesterday I said on the show, I'm not the most bullish Disney, but I do think Disney can go up because they are down 30% over the past 5 years. Any piece of good news could send Disney higher. And you had some decent pieces of good news that are sending Disney higher, up about 9% currently in the pre-market. So let's take a look at what Disney reported and why the street is getting excited for it. So here are the numbers. So you got EPS with a beat. That is up 39% year over year, $1.14 versus $1.10. Revenue $22.6 billion versus $22.48 billion, up 10% or up 6% year over year. Core paid subscribers 122.7 versus 119. So they increased subscribers, increased revenue, increased EPS. That's what got the market excited. Full year 2025 guidance, they're estimating 4% EPS growth. They're going to have $15 billion in cash, $8 billion in capex, $3 billion in share repurchases, and dividend growth expected to track earnings growth. I didn't even know Disney gave an earnings or a dividend. Disney has a 0.73% dividend. So that's what you got on Disney. Now, in fiscal year 2026 and 2027, I think this is the reason the stock is actually up. They're estimating double-digit growth for EPS, which is important for their net income and for increasing their cash pile. So I think the street's like, all right, if they're going to grow double digits on EPS, we can kind of make an argument that Disney should be more valuable a couple years from now than now. Disney right here at a $187 billion market cap. And so I guess the street's thinking they can probably get closer to 250 if EPS continues to grow. Hulu subscribers are 52 million versus 51.1. That's up 2% quarter over quarter. Disney paid core subscribers 122.7 versus 119.8, up 4% quarter over quarter. Again, Netflix is adding around 13 million subscribers a quarter, right? So Netflix's growth is just very strong compared to Disney, but Disney's not declining, which is at least what is happy for the street. Linear networks are down 6% year over year. This is cable advertising, 2.46 billion. Entertainment is up 14% year over year. Direct to consumer is up 15% year over year. That's Disney Plus. And then content sales and licensing is 2.59 billion. That's up 40% year over year. Sports is flat year over year. ESPN domestic is up 1% year over year. Star India is down 37% year over year. They're going to probably consolidate all of their sports offerings next year and turn that into a new package. Because those are the worst performing metrics out of what they have. Parks are up 3% year over year. Experiences are up 1% year over year. International parks experiences down 5% year over year. And then consumer products up 2% year over year. And that's pretty much what you got for Disney. Bob Iger said, Disney's strong Q4 performance reflects our strong progress in quality, innovation, and value creation across segments with record-breaking Emmy wins, robust streaming profitability, successful box office release, and successful box office releases, and continued strength in live sports. We are leveraging Disney's unparalleled assets to differentiate from competitors and drive long-term growth. And there you go. That's what you got on Disney. Again, not a big fan of the story for me at all. At $200 billion, I do not want to own Disney over the next 5-10 years. I think there's a lot of opportunities in a lot of other places, but this was a quarter where they were down almost every quarter going into this earnings. And they had a quarter where they had some good results, and good results after you get that oversold can send the stock higher. So Disney right here up 9.37% currently today. I don't think we have any other earnings today. Oh, we have JD. By the way, speaking of JD, we got to now talk about JD is down 1%. We have to talk about some hedge fund guys that are updating their portfolios. So let's get into that. After the bell, we have ASTS, Oklo, and Applied Materials in the market close. So we'll be talking about that. And we will look at what's happening there. Disney right here up 9%. Rocket Lab up 1%. HIMS currently still down 8%. If you're just joining, HIMS is down 8% because Amazon is entering into the telehealth space. And that's why HIMS is down. Okay, so let's get into some new hedge funds. So 13Fs and 13Gs are coming out. We're going to get a lot of them over the next couple of days. Definitely most of them will be out by next week, but we're getting a few of them currently right now. And we're seeing some different people that are upgrading or updating their portfolios. And one of the ones that's very interesting to me is Ray Dalio. Dalio, who has been a fan of China for a while, given the China stimulus, one would argue that, all right, well, if he loves China and China is stimulating, then he would probably start buying some China. And that is correct. Ray Dalio's hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates, took new positions in 2 Chinese companies. And we'll talk about SMCI in a second as well. 512,000 shares of Baba and 114,000 shares of Baidu. So in Q3, they basically saw the September stimulus coming, and they're preparing themselves appropriately for that stimulus if it ends up playing out the way they want to play out over the next couple of years. And you got Ray Dalio buying up some more Chinese companies. We had a couple other hedge funds drop some data yesterday. Nothing too exciting from what we got. We're going to get a lot more again over the next couple of days. Nelson Peltz, we know him. He has completely sold out of all of his Disney. He was an activist investor in Disney. He had a little bit of U-Haul, and he reduced his percentage in Allstate by 70%, reduced Wendy's by 3%. But outside of that, the big news is Ray Dalio buying up more and more China. And so that's what we got for Dalio. Isn't Dalio the guy that keeps saying the world is coming to an end? Yes. Well, his specific phrasing is like, we're in a new world order. And in that world order, he wrote a book about China kind of winning in that world order. So it would make sense for him to buy Chinese stocks. Now, Chinese stocks haven't won against US stocks yet. But if you believe China is going to win, then you probably, should get exposure to China. And it seems like that's what he's got. All right. Lunar had earnings, apparently. That's what you guys are saying. Lunar is up 17%. This stock has been crazy this entire year. I didn't know they had earnings today, but Lunar stock, year to date, Lunar stock is up 400%. In the past 6 months, it's up 100%. Let me see if I can get their numbers real quick. Obviously, Rocket Lab, probably the sentiment around that is helping something like a Lunar. Lunar is also one of the most heavily shorted stocks in the market at 31%. So that's probably another reason any good results is getting the shorts to cover. You guys are saying Jay Powell speaking today? When is Jay Powell speaking? Is he actually speaking today? Hold on. I'll cover that if Jay Powell's speaking. I don't know Jay Powell speaking. Jay Powell is speaking. Is he? What time is he speaking? If you guys know. Today's what, 11:14? Oh yeah, 3 p.m. Okay, so he's speaking at 3 p.m. Probably at some event. All right, so we'll go live at 2:50 and we'll start the market close early today to cover J-Pow. All right, 3 p.m. We will cover J-Pow. Yeah. So we'll be live early today and then we'll see. Okay, so I'll try to get the Lunar numbers in a second. I don't see it yet, but Lunar is up 18%. Again, if you're in this name, it's a bit more speculative than the other names that are out there in the space world. $1.1 billion market cap, but it is up 18%. It was up 13% yesterday, along with ASTS. A lot of them are getting some higher deals, billion-dollar deals, and that's why they're getting momentum. ASTS was up 15% yesterday. It's up 4.5% today. Again, Rocket Lab was up 28% yesterday, so that entire space industry started to get some momentum. SMCI is down another 11% in the pre-markets. This is just a sad story. This is just a very sad story. So SMCI at this point is now below $20 at 18. Whoever bought the dip at 24, and there were people buying that dip, it hasn't worked out. And SMCI was $120 in March. If you look at this chart, 122. Look at this. It IPO'd in 2008, and it stayed at basically 30 to 40 cents until 2020. Got to $1.02. Then in 2020, NVIDIA and the GPUs and all that stuff started taking off, and then it finally ran up to $30, came back down to 18, then went all the way up to 122, and now it's just come all the way back down. And this is not because of poor business execution. This is because of incompetent management that potentially is lying about their accounting. Does this say anything about NVIDIA, given SMCI had close ties with NVIDIA? I mean, I don't think so, because, NVIDIA's accounting is different than SMCI's accounting, but it definitely makes people a little scared about what this means for some of the clients that they worked with. Now, NVIDIA right here up about 0.58%. NVIDIA has started to use or divest a lot of business from SMCI into companies like Dell. Dell is actually having, look at Dell, 135. Dell's having a hell of a month right here. Dell's stock over the past month is up 5%. Over the past 5 days, it's down 3%. And over the past 6 months, it's up 0.3. Year to date, it's up 80%. So really losing some of its value into that August sell-off when it fell to 87, now right back to 135. It's a little bit lower than the 170 peak that it was at in May. But from August to now, especially based on this SMCI catalyst, Dell has had a hell of a run. And Dell is one of the only semis that's really benefiting from everything that we're seeing right now. Vibe says, congratulations to anyone who bought SMCI in 2008. Yeah, I mean, if you bought it in 2008, you're still doing well. But goodness gracious, dude, we have not seen a company that has been unable to file a report fall the way SMCI is falling in a while. I mean, this is one that Hindenburg just got right. Hindenburg doesn't get all of them right, but this one they absolutely got right. And unless SMCI gets an extension pretty soon, they're going to get delisted and then they're done. And that is not going to be good, obviously, for a lot of investors that are in SMCI. By the way, SMCI, yeah, as Mike says right here, they're in the S&P 500 and they got in before Palantir did. It's quite incredible that there's no way they stay in the S&P 500. Like with this happening now, you would imagine they get rebalanced out as soon as I think the next rebalancing is March. So they probably get kicked out. And next year, I think Robinhood's already eligible. I think SoFi, after another quarter of GAAP profitability, will be eligible. So Robinhood, SoFi, some of our favorite companies, they might have a shot to get into that index. And we saw what happened with Palantir after it got into the index. You might have some similar momentum on other stocks as they get into it. Palantir, by the way, up another 1% in the pre-market, 61.22. Palantir actually had a really good day yesterday. It was at 63, came back down to 60, 70, closed up almost 2% on the day. Now up another 1% right here. So Palantir, dare I say, is normalizing the 60s. It's going to take some time for that to be real. But it's definitely above 50, and even if it comes back down to 55, 56, we are in that $50 range, which is not bad at all for SMCI. They have until November 16th to file, correct? So that means 2 days. And if they don't, they're going to have to get another extension, which might not be the best for them. They've already been delisted once. Yeah, I think 2018 they were delisted, or 2020. So about 5 years ago, they got delisted already. Then they came back. And then obviously they just started growing like crazy and investors got interested because NVIDIA was propelling all their growth. But, now we're not fully sure if that is going to continue to hold up. Okay, cool. So that's what we got in the context of SMCI. And that's currently what we're seeing right now. Let's see what else we have right here. So do we have any? No, we don't have any other earnings this morning. Oh, we had JD. I'll try to get their numbers in a second. Brookfield as well. We'll try to get those numbers. That's an important one. And see what they're saying today. Oh, wow. Hold on. This is a big update. Whoa. Hold on. Speaking of Palantir, take a look at this, folks. Wow. This is what we've been talking about. Shout out to Brett, who just posted this. Palantir institutional ownership just jumped to 53%. Wow. That is a big deal. Last week, it was 49 on November 8th. 53 means we are officially over 50%. That means who's buying in the 60s and 50s? The FinTwit bears that hate that Palantir is winning will say it's stupid retail. Not according to the terminal. I mean, according to the terminal, it looks like you got a lot of institutions that are coming in and that are taking a slice of this. I mean, and that makes sense for anyone who had like half a brain cell. You could tell that retail cannot jump the price up by 50 billion in 3 months. Like, I don't think you had to be Warren Buffett to figure that out. It had to be higher, levels of wealth that could do that. And it seems like it's the toots. It is the toots due to S&P inclusion. Yeah, I mean, due to S&P inclusion, correct. But also, I would imagine there's outside of S&P inclusion, institutions are, they're seeing the stock go up and they want to be part of that story. And so you had a ton of institutions buy at 37, 38. That was inevitable. But from this run to 60, again, I don't think this was retail. I think this was more institutions saying, all right, not only is it part of the S&P 500, so it's been legitimized by that big elite club, but we also think that there's an AI mode here. Then they reaccelerated growth. I mean, you have catalyst upon catalyst upon catalyst, market cap at 140 billion. People can definitely argue is expensive, but if the toots are buying, then the toots are buying. So there you go. Didn't Robinhood show a month ago that retail was net sellers of Palantir? Yeah, Robinhood also showed that SoFi had net sellers as well. So in this bull run, and I don't really blame retail for selling some of their SoFi, selling some of their Palantir, simply because of the fact that people are scared, they want to take some profits, they want to hold on to stuff. However, the SoFi thing was really weird because SoFi was stuck in its channel for $7 to $8, finally broke out. I don't know why you take profits there. I get wanting to break even a little bit or take some money off the table, but that's a breakout that's real on SoFi from the technical. So that was weird. Retail was selling. And then on Palantir, I get it. A lot of people had averages at $8, and so they wanted to be taking some profits. But my philosophy on Palantir, and I've been very clear about this for the past couple of years, is that it's a generational company, and you just don't get generational companies often. So retail kind of missing this run. And by the way, we definitely know retail was net sellers of Palantir because you got some people on Twitter that were very bullish on Palantir that started to sell off their entire position. I mean, there was a guy who sold 18,000 shares at $31. And I get it. At the time, 31 seemed ridiculous because it was just 16 a couple months ago. But generational companies can go on generational runs. And right now, Palantir is on a generational run. So yeah, we do know that retail net sold Palantir and SoFi, and institutions, at least for Palantir right now, are definitely loading up, which is very, very, very bullish. And that is nice to see. For real says, Amid, curious if gold selling off is signaling a de-escalation and what effects to an end of the war in Ukraine may have on Palantir. Okay, so this is a good question. I've been thinking about this well. I think gold going down, not only is that a little bit of a risk-off environment starting to take place in the a risk-on environment starting to take place, which is why people wouldn't be transitioning into gold if they're risk-on. But I agree with you. I mean, we did hear that Trump and Putin, Trump, Zelensky, and Elon got on a phone call a week after Trump got elected, and the whole idea was, all right, can we put an end to this? So that's something important. If the war in Ukraine is going to come to an end, I don't think that has the craziest impact on Palantir. I don't even know how much money Palantir was making off Ukraine. I honestly think that, Palantir was doing it because they believed in sort of the patriotism nature of it, and maybe they made some money off it. I'm sure they made some money, but I don't think that's like a headwind for them if that war ends. If anything, I think the rebuilding of Ukraine, which Palantir is an integral part of with the Ministry of Re-Education, that is likely going to be, our Ministry of Digital Retransformation, that is going to be very, very important for Palantir. BlackRock is investing like $40 billion along with JP Morgan into this big fund to rebuild Ukraine. I think Palantir will play a big part in terms of the software infrastructure to rebuild, demine the country, all that stuff. So I think that's a tailwind for Palantir. I think also that's a tailwind for the entire world and for the stock market if that war in Ukraine actually comes to an end. And so I think it'll be good for Palantir. If it does come to an end, that does make sense to buy Bitcoin versus buy gold. You sell Bitcoin when we have a war versus buy Bitcoin. You buy gold when you think you have a war. And so maybe the gold markets are saying they think Trump's going to end the war. Again, we're a long way from that happening. But if that does happen over the next couple of months, gold being de-risked and Bitcoin being re-risked makes sense to me. It's just a question of, is that war actually going to come to an end? So that's going to be very, very important. Thomas says, if Ukraine war ends, Palantir gets paid. Think about all the rebuild needed and who they'll call to organize it all. Yeah, 100%. And we already know Palantir has multiple deals with the Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine around doing a variety of things. I think one of the latest ones was about schools and like just creating more software infrastructure for not only buildings, but like school buildings that got torn down and got bombed. So, I think that war ending is very important just for humanity, but it's also important to rebuild, and Palantir will get a tailwind off helping on the rebuilding themselves. Tyler says, spot on, Amit, about Ukraine. It will become a huge tech hub and innovate like Israel. Well, Israel is a big tech hub, and Ukraine, a lot of developer talent is outsourced to Ukraine. That's why a lot of software companies took a hit in February 2022 because all their employees, they couldn't work anymore, obviously, because the country was in a war. So Ukraine has a lot of tech talent, and if that gets rebuilt, I think that's also going to be very, very strong for the software sector. All right, let's hear from JP Morgan, what they expect going into 2025, and then we will keep going from there.
Right now with her take on the rally, Lisa Ossenbrook is the head of investment strategy, JP Morgan Wealth Management. Trees don't go to the sky usually, though they seem to be going to the sky right now. The question is if there's somebody on the other end of the tree that's like with their axe or cutting it, and when that's going to happen, if it's going to.
Look, we think that 2025 is going to be a year to build on the strength of 2024's gains. While there has been some euphoria and kind of this optimistic knee-jerk reaction to the outcome of the election, what we're really basing our expectation for about 10% S&P 500 upside on is an improving fundamental backdrop. You've got broadening earnings growth, you have prospects for deregulation and lower taxes, and we see a lot of opportunity within the index.
What do you think of Warren Buffett building a $300 billion ark? Noah's Ark of cash. What does that say to you?
Look, he is known to be a value investor. And like, if there is one thing to be mindful of in this market, it's that valuations are high. I think like Warren Buffett, we would encourage investors to get a little more opportunistic if we were to see a pullback and have some value opportunities emerge. But what we're really kind of basing that outlook on is the reality that earnings growth is going to continue. That's going to do the heavy lifting, even as valuations come down over the course of the next year.
You say even as valuations come down. Why do you say valuations come down?
I think, at 22 and a half times, they do look a little bit toppish. And so the good news is from 2025 to 2026, we think that you can get about 10% index level earnings growth. Every sector in the S&P 500 is expected to grow earnings for the first time in a few years. Right. And so that's what's going to do the heavy lifting versus 2024's composition of returns, which has been a pretty even split between the two. I
don't know if you saw David Einhorn's comments, but he basically said, look, if we look back 10 years from now, and not to be a market timer, but if you said this was the time you were putting a lot of cash to work, he said it'd be very unlikely that you would look at that and go, that was like the greatest time in the world to do this.
Sure.
So for those folks who've been sitting on the sidelines, they might have missed the train earlier, or maybe they just came into some money or something's happened here. What are they supposed to do?
Well, talking first.
Besides call you.
Well, yeah, of course, call us. But thinking first about equity markets, we do think that new opportunities have emerged. Kind of related to the outcome of the election, the financial sector would be one example of that.
And you don't think that that's already baked in?
No, we would be buyers into the strength. We think between the deregulatory environment, prospects for increased M&A activity, there are going to be further headwinds, but we're also encouraging investors to really look across the entire investment opportunity set. Fixed income might be a little tricky and require investors to be on their toes in terms of navigating it into 2025, but within the alternative investment space, looking at opportunities in real estate, infrastructure, look really compelling to us.
Okay, Elise, thank you for coming in.
Okay, so what she's saying right there is actually very similar to give you guys a gist of how the analysts are thinking of this market right now. One of their main concerns is that the S&P 500 is not going to return the same way that it returned in 2023. And I would love to, get people's perspectives in the chat on this. I mean, what's your gut feeling? Let's say this year we end out at 25%. That's where we're at right now. Do you think 2025 we get another 25% year? Do you think 2025 we get another 25% year? Because pretty much all the analyst reports that I'm reading are saying there's no way in hell we're getting 25% again. We're getting at best 10%. And to highlight why we got a 25% year, take a look at this. ETF inflows for the year are closing in on 1 trillion. We are at 909 billion right now. Those are the top 15 ETFs. VOO is at the top. IBIT is number 3. The Bitcoin ETF is number freaking 3. The Qs are number 4. S&P is number 7. You got a bunch of bond ETFs like AGG at number 6, and then you have TLT at number 12. But I mean, we have added 909 billion this year in 1 year. This is a 1 billion shy of breaking the annual record, so it's about $1 billion away from breaking $1 trillion. And they are already having one hell of a second half, already the best half ever recorded with 489 billion in ETF inflows in the second half of the year. December, by the way, is the best month of ETF inflows historically, which means it looks like we could break that $1 trillion number. Do we get another $1 trillion in 2025 added into the global markets via ETFs? I think the analysts are saying, no, that's not going to happen. The analysts are getting a lot more defensive on it. Now, granted, the analysts were defensive in 2023 and in 2024. No one believed that we could have a tech bull run. If you listen to the Dan Ives of the world, he says that we have another 20% year compounding for tech. So imagine the Qs compound up 20% next year. I think they're up 22 or 23% this year. The analysts are not buying it. And another guy who's not buying it right here is David Einhorn. Here's what he said yesterday on inflation. He, like a lot of other hedge fund dudes, are thinking that inflation is going to be an issue in 2025.
And it was certainly surprising to me. I thought it was going to be a very close election, and we would maybe still be arguing now about like who won it. And I think it's a very good break for the whole country that at least we have a decisive winner and that we can get on with things and begin to figure out where to go from here. So I think in a lot of ways, this was a very good outcome just in terms of political stability compared to kind of what I was worried about maybe a week or so ago.
What does it mean for your portfolio? Have you reallocated anything based on those decisive results?
Yeah, we have increased our bets on inflation. I think that we're going to have another inflection up inflation. I think that what the policy mix that is being proposed, I think it is inflationary. And I think that that we'll see more of that over the next few years.
And this is important because I just want our audience to remember that you had this inflation call back in May of 2020 where you said, and this was of course in the depths of the pandemic, where you said a country that consumes much more than it produces, financed by ongoing money creation, will have more money chasing fewer goods and services. Once the initial shock wears off and the recovery begins, the inflation will begin to show up. And at this time, CPI was 0.1% annually. And then of course it shot up a few months later. Do you think this administration has the policy mechanisms to deal with inflation this time around?
Well, I don't think we'll have the inflation the same kind or the same amount that we did before. It felt much more open-ended than when I say that I think there'll be more inflation. Like if people are expecting maybe 2.5% inflation next year, I think it'll more likely to be 3.5 to 4.5 or something like that. I don't really see what the mechanism is right away to make it go back up to 7 or 8. Or 9, such as that. But I mean, it seems to me that we're going to have an expansionary policy. They want to cut a lot of taxes. I think one of the speakers just before was going through the amounts. It doesn't really matter particularly which ones it is. And I think we have a pretty strong economy on top of that. We have relatively full employment. We have wage growth. I think the immigration policy that they're going to put in place is going to be inflationary for costs and for labor and stuff like that. And so I think we'll have a bunch of inflation. What they're able to do or choose to do about that, I don't know. I mean, there's an argument for tolerating it, and they may prefer to just try to run the economy as hot as possible and live with the inflation. I don't really know what they will do.
So, I mean, it's a counter perspective from the perspective a lot of other people that are having right now, which is that Trump is good, pro-growth is amazing. We're going to unlock 4 years of like massive economic stimulus. The flip side to that is there are some people saying, actually, no, that's going to create a ton of inflation. And you're going to have to balance out that inflation with this. Now, one thing that's very interesting, remember Trump, when Jay Powell started raising rates in 2018, Trump started fighting with Jay Powell publicly because Trump was annoyed. Trump was like, why are you raising the rates? Like, you're messing up the economy. And then Christmas Eve in 2018 was not good for the stock market. You had I think it was like a 15 to 20% decline. It was a rough 2018. And then Jay Powell finally started cutting in 2019 and things started rebounding. If Jay Powell doesn't cut as aggressively as Trump wants to cut based on the idea that inflation's not leaving, I think you're going to get that same public spat that they're going to have together. The question's going to be, will David Einhorn be right around inflation, or will inflation not be something that is that big of a concern? I'm still looking through a lot of the data. My gut feeling is that inflation is going to come down dramatically in 2025 as well. Tariffs adds a new level of what inflation could look like in this conversation, but it will take time to kind of see how that plays out, and then what the Fed policy will be in reaction to it. A couple other headlines real quick before we get into the market open. We got 40 seconds. Cathie Wood sold her Rocket Lab yesterday. She sold how many? She sold 479,628 shares of Rocket Lab. So Cathie Wood sold Rocket Lab yesterday. Trump directed Tulsi Gabbard to be the director of national intelligence. Alex Karp and Peter Thiel are number 44 and 34 on the top 100 business, I guess you call them influencers list. Influencer is not the right word, but you know what I mean, from Fortune magazine. And Robinhood, Coinbase, and Crypto.com are in the top 5 apps in the finance app store, signaling that retail is coming back when it comes to crypto. We'll get into some NVIDIA upgrades as well after the bell, because we saw some of that earlier this morning. All right, here we go. November 14th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is once again open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. 597.6 on the S&P 500. NVIDIA, 147.58. NVIDIA up about 1%. Disney is up 8% on the day, 8.09%, 111. They beat on EPS and beat on revenue, raised some of their guidance. Disney right here, $111.52 up on the day. Rocket Lab is up 1.4% on the day, breaking through that $19 level. Rocket Lab right here at $19.14. HIMS is down 12%. For those that are wondering why is HIMS down, it is because Amazon is launching a new telehealth subscription product for pretty much all of the things that HIMS offers as well. And market's a little bit afraid that HIMS's perceived moat is going to decline, or the growth is at least going to decline because of Amazon coming into the race. Amazon right here is up a little bit. HIMS is down 10.9%. Amazon is up another 1.14%. Amazon now at 214 at an all-time high. Coinbase is up 2%. IWM up 0.5%. Qs are up 0.04%. Celsius is up 1.63%. SoFi up 0.37%. Where is Palantir? Palantir is $60.81. Palantir is relatively flat, but it is still green, $60.70. SMCI is down 9.4%. They have 2 days to file their 10K. If not, and they don't get another extension, then they will be delisted. SMCI right here down 9.3% on the day. Robinhood is 32.47. Robinhood up 1.75% on the day. Rocket Lab now turns red, down about 0.64%. HIMS down 11%. Coinbase up 1.3%. IWM 0.4%. Where is Bitcoin? Bitcoin, wow, 91,000. It was 90,000 in the morning, holding above 91,000. And not bad. You guys know I was in the Miracle Whip yesterday, and I replayed the market open and I listened to the bell. And I finally understand what you guys mean by it's annoying. I can imagine being in the car listening and this fucking stupid bell starts ringing. But like now it's a staple of the show. Like as a listener, I finally as the creator, it's just fun ringing this thing. As a listener, I'm like, yeah, turn this fucking bell off. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. We can't get rid of the bell. Marathon right here up 5%. CleanSpark up 2%. MicroStrategy up 4%. Riot up 2.84% on the day. Adobe slightly down. Tesla is down 1.3%. BITX up 3.14. Again, Bitcoin 91,000. Dogecoin 41 cents. Dogecoin up 5%. By the way, that peanut coin that was built off the squirrel, the whole liberal Republican squirrel drama that was going on, that coin is up 2,800%. Dude, if you put in $500 into that coin on like November 1st or October 31st, you would have close to 800,000. It is it is quite heartbreaking, but it's also quite amazing that the crypto markets can do that. So that coin is currently still up. Nvidia right here at 146, Dell at 136, Lunar at 1411. Lunar, nice earnings, up 20% on the day. Robinhood 32.44, Palantir trying to get back to $60.85 currently. Right now, Black Sky is up. Black Sky's up 13% as well. Yeah, this is a SPAC that Palantir invested in a long time ago. I don't think they own any more of the of the SPAC, but it is up 13% right here. It seems like they had a decent good earnings, and we'll pull up those numbers in a second as well. Archer is, let's see, Archer. They've had a decent week. Archer up another 5%. Not bad. They were up 15% over the past 2 days. So you got Archer up 5%. That is good. And then Joby is also up 5.76%. All right, so that entire eVTOL industry getting some love right here as they continue to go higher. Why is Nubank down 10%? That is a good question. Nubank had an amazing earnings. I don't know why they're down 10% right here. I really don't. Nubank crushed. They slightly missed on revenue, very slight miss. They crushed EPS, crushed guidance, 100 million users in Brazil alone, growing above 50%. Not sure why Nubank is down 10% here. The stock was up a lot this year. I guess people are taking some profits, as we're seeing across the entire industry, but that might be one of the reasons they're down. Otherwise, they had a good earnings. Cisco as well, also good earnings. Cisco's down 1%. Cisco pays you a 3% dividend. This one has not really moved a lot this year. In general, Cisco tends not to move too much. Investors don't really care about the results every quarter in terms of upside or downside to the stock. But, the company still is alive, $232 billion company. It's not a small company. They acquired Splunk last year for like $28 billion in their cybersecurity efforts, and currently down 1.15%. But they did beat on the top and the bottom line for Cisco. Where's Netflix? Netflix, wow, 836 on Netflix, dude. This is why people buy growth stocks at the end of the day, right? This is why people buy a Netflix, because the perceived value of growth is what the market is betting on when it comes to these companies. Same thing with like a Rocket Lab. And so Netflix at 835, dude, even breaking 800 2 weeks ago was like wild for Netflix. Even breaking 700 a month ago was like, oh, wow, Netflix is at 700. Netflix now $350 billion market cap, 836. That Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, seemingly the street thinks is going to be good for their overall growth. Honest up today. Honest is up another 11%. They were up 30% yesterday, up 11% today. Again, this is a small cap. It can run like crazy. Great earnings. So if you're in Honest, I don't know if like this is the time to take profits. I don't know too much about the company itself, but you're up basically 45% in 2 days. And so those earnings definitely warranted some momentum right there. Palantir, $60.89, trying to get back to 61. Amazon, wow. Amazon new all-time high at 215. Bezos is selling and no one cares because everyone is ready to give Amazon the flowers that they have deserved for a couple of years now. They had to get their operating margins up. Those margins are back up. And if those margins go from 11 to 15 over the next 2 years, given the amount of revenue they're doing, they are going to be printing not only free cash flow, but net income. And when you put a relatively conservative 40 multiple on it, 35 to 40 multiple, you're going to get to a stock that's closer to 300. So Amazon right here at 215, up 0.73% of the day. Nvidia 147, Dell 135, ASTS also up 1.85%. SMCI still down about 9%. S&P 500 slightly green. Rocket Lab now down 2%. People are taking some profits on Rocket Lab. Put premiums probably are better today on Rocket Lab than yesterday, given the stock is down. HIMS really not getting any love, down 12% currently on the day. Do we see a dip on Hood under 30, or is this the new normal? I think it would be really hard for Hood to go under 30. I think Bitcoin would have to decline like aggressively at this point, because now based on that October growth, based on the Solana relisting, Solana should add 10 to 15% more revenues to Robinhood. They're listing a ton of other coins. They listed Bonk and Pepe and all these different coins that are going wild that you can now buy on Hood. I think if it falls to like 29, you would need to see something bad about Hood itself, which currently I'm not seeing, or crypto really take a hit. Otherwise, I think we're normalizing 30s pretty well. So anything could happen. But every day we close above 30 is closer and closer to Hood staying above that $30 level. Why is GameStop up 4%? Well, there's a couple accounts I follow that I actually respect when it comes to the finance world, and it surprised me that they said GameStop to 30 by December is very likely. Not only from a technical perspective, but also they were buying calls on GameStop. And these are like actual accounts that like, they don't buy meme stocks, and they were buying GameStop $30 calls, and I was like, what? All right, so there's definitely excitement in the air right now. I think it's more so from a technical perspective. People think that it can break out into that $30 range. Roaring Kitty is not a shareholder, from my understanding, anymore. I'm not betting on GameStop. Don't necessarily believe in it, but they do have $8 billion in cash. Anything they can do with their cash that is like somewhat productive should be beneficial for them. Or no, they have $4 billion in cash. So still, 33% of their market cap is cash. Any good news? Maybe that ultimately helps GameStop. Lunar, is Lunar still going up? Lunar is halted. All right. So it was, did it go down just now? It just got a red candle. It got halted to the downside. Yeah, it was at like 17 or 16. Now it got suspended. It'll be back in a little bit. It got sold off so hard as it was coming down that it got halted as it was getting sold off. Again, guys, Lunar is a $1.6 billion company. It's a small company. People are going to take a lot of profits if it goes up like crazy, and so it looks like that's why it got halted as it was coming down. It went up from 15% to up 6%. So you had 9% of a decline. Those were people taking profits. And now Lunar is down. Disney, where's Disney right now? We'll keep an eye on Lunar. Disney's up 10% of the day. This is one of Disney's best day in like 2 years. So Disney is actually showing some decent strength right here. And Disney getting some love. Amit, what happens if SMCI gets delisted? I've never been part of a company that gets delisted, but I'm pretty sure that means that. Actually, I'm not pretty sure. I have no idea. Like if you own SMCI at $30 and they get delisted, do you just lose the $30? Does anyone know? Is that what happens? Or if they get delisted at 18, do you take the $12 loss and keep the 18? Does it get given back to you? It goes OTC. Oh, it moves to OCC markets. Okay, so your money also moves to then OTC markets, right? You still hold the shares on OTC on another exchange. Okay, that makes sense. For those that don't know OTC, that's over the counter. If you guys watched the Wolf of Wall Street, they were buying a lot of OTC penny stocks. Wow, Netflix 840. Holy crap, bro. Netflix is not stopping right here. Netflix is not stopping, but the shares will go down a lot. Yeah, so even if it's on the OTC markets, the shares will absolutely get hit because obviously people are going to, as soon as they get a whiff of it getting delisted, they're going to sell it and they're going to try to get out of it. GameStop right here, 27, Robin at 32.32. Joby at 620, S&P slightly red, Rocket Lab now down 2%. Hims, wow, Hims is dude. Hims has had a roller coaster year. It had its best 2 days ever, Monday and Tuesday, and now it's down 14% on the Amazon news after being up 130% this year. Like Hims cannot catch a break in terms of their narrative, and then they have to deal with all that Eli Lilly, FDA approval of the supply and demand of GLP-1. Like they have to deal with they got probed by the DOJ 2 months ago. Like Hims has had a crazy year. And there's so many different things coming from different directions trying to get back at Hims right now. Money market surpasses 7 trillion. Okay, I don't have the new data from money markets yet. The website I use, it releases it at about 3:30. So you might be using a different website that might be showing you money market funds. If it surpassed 7 trillion after Trump got elected, that is crazy. My question then is, where the hell is the money coming from that's pumping the markets if it's not coming from money market funds? Yeah, you're right. U.S. money market funds hit 7 trillion for the first time. This is based on Crane data. I don't have the exact website, but I see the post about it. We'll get the exact numbers probably at 3:30 from the source that I use. But dude, 7 trillion on the sidelines. Holy crap, bro. $7 trillion on the sidelines is no joke. That is insanity. That's markets basically betting that they don't believe in this rally to an extent, right? At least that's some part of the market saying that we don't think this is going to continue and we're hoarding our cash. We're not piling in. But then who the hell is piling in? Who the hell's buying, right? Who's buying Bitcoin? Like where is the money coming from? I don't think we have a definitive answer on that. Like, where is the money actually coming from? If it's not coming from money markets, because like, where's the cash? The cash has to be somewhere. And if the cash is not coming from money markets, I mean, I guess you could say people just had it in their savings account and they were, or just it was sitting in their brokerages. That you could make that argument that it was just sitting there in cash in the brokerages. You were getting a yield on that. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, Bloomberg. This from Evan. 7 trillion in money market funds. Holy crap. 7 trillion. This is the wrong site right here. 7 trillion in money market funds. Goodness, bro. Some of that money is coming from selling gold and silver. Yeah, that's fair. People could be selling gold and silver and putting some money into the markets. That's a lot of money, folks. I mean, to give you some context, if you take a look at the money market fund chart over the past 20 years, let's bring this up right here. It averages at 4 trillion in terms of money markets. So take a look at this. So right now it says 6.5 trillion. That's going to get updated later today to 7 trillion. If you look at from 1945, you were at 0, right? And then around the 80s, you started getting people investing in the money market funds. You're at 100 billion, 200 billion. And then let's do it over the past 10 years. Historically, you have 3 trillion. 2015, you had 3 trillion. 2014, 3 trillion. 2016, 3 trillion. 2017, you had 2.8 trillion. 2018, 3 trillion. And then around COVID, it started going up. And you had 5 trillion during Q2 of 2020. We printed a lot of money as well. And then since COVID, it has stayed in that 5 trillion range. And now we're nearing 7 trillion on the sidelines, which is wild, bro. Absolutely wild for money market funds. It's not supposed to be 7 trillion. It's supposed to be, as you can see on average, 3 trillion. So could 4 trillion come into the markets? Maybe, but are they going to buy an expensive market right now, which undoubtedly is an expensive market? I don't know. I mean, there's going to need to be some FOMO for us to see that. Bitcoin is still, where's Bitcoin? Are we still above 91? Bitcoin just tanked. Damn it. Bitcoin just tanked. Bitcoin just tanked. There you go. Bitcoin heard about that 7 trillion on the sidelines and they said, you know what? we're going to take some profits and go to the sidelines as well. Oh boy. What flipped markets right now? I don't know. I don't think there's any economic data. I mean, the PPI data was fine. It wasn't the best, but the market didn't care when it came out. Maybe it's a delayed reaction. Jobless claims were a 6-month low. That's fine. Gold prices are at a 2-month low. So gold's being sold off. The Dutch economy in the Netherlands grew 0.8% in Q3. So at least you got some growth from the Netherlands. But I don't see any other economic data. Damn, dude. 91 to 89 was hard. Carp sold 109 million shares. Did he? I didn't check the insider selling yesterday. Let me check. I didn't see it yesterday. Let me check to make sure. I think you're right. Yeah, you are indeed right. Carp has sold 1.8 million shares, folks. Carp sold 1.8 million shares of Palantir yesterday. $109 million. Let's look at his average price. Did he get 63? Did he get the top? 109, 142, 579 divided by 1823602. 59.8. 59.8. Look, I don't think you can blame him. As I've been saying it for the past couple months right now. We know Palantir's up there. It's at 140 billion. But this level of selling is a lot. I'm not going to lie. This is the most level of selling we've seen from Carp in a long time. And again, it makes sense. Palantir is trading higher than Lockheed Martin. Right. And as much as I try to justify the valuation from a pure qualitative basis, on a numerical basis, you've probably got some fancy financial advisors sitting in Carp's table that he pays $1,000 to give him advice to. And they're saying, Carp, there's no way you can't sell right here. So I would imagine that's why he is taking some of those profits. That does not look like he exercised options on that one. That looks like a pure sell from what I'm seeing. And yeah, the stock's up a lot. So you would imagine he is taking some profits right here. Pre-planned? Is it pre-planned? Is It doesn't look like it's a 10.5B1 plan. It might be. Again, some of these documents are really hard to read, so I can't fully understand it. But I think even if this was pre-planned, he sold a lot over the past 2 months, dude. I think it's closing in on $1 billion worth of stock. So you can't pre-plan $1 billion worth of stock during the exact moment when the stock is at a top, right? Like that just doesn't happen. So I think even if some of them were pre-planned, there was definitely some where he just flat out sold, like Peter Thiel, to take profits, which is fair. Stock's up a lot. And if institutions are willing to buy it at 53% ownership, if for those that are just joining, that was the updated number today, 53% of the Toots own Palantir, up from 49% last week, then yeah, there are other people that are willing to buy Palantir stock. Carp's going to Rick's. That's correct. Where's Rick, by the way? Where's Rick? How's Rick doing? Rick, look at that. We were talking about Rick when it was 43, folks. It's at 50. So Rick Hospitality, if you know, you know. I guess people are taking some of their profits and they're enjoying Rick's. SMCI, goodness, down 14% at 1750. 1750, bro. The stock was freaking 120. German instability could be causing some of the fall off. You know what's funny about Germany, by the way, and I love all my Germans that are in the audience. I have great respect for Germany. I went to Germany. I got to go back to Germany again. I went to Stuttgart last time I was there. But Germany sold all their Bitcoin at 50,000. And it's not trying to play Monday morning quarterback, whatever that saying goes. And looking in hindsight now that Bitcoin's 890,000, that they made a mistake selling at 50,000. But at the time, my take was, why are you selling that asset out of everything? Like that's not going to help you get more than 0.2% GDP growth in Q3, which is what Germany had. I mean, basically, Germany had 0% growth, right? Like, that's why when people say the United States, dude, at least the United States is growing at 2.8%. Like, we could be growing at 0.8% or 0.2% like Germany, So the United States is growing somewhat better. And that's why I'm excited about India. India is growing at like 7%. But why sell Bitcoin? Out of all the assets you could sell, why that asset? Like that was not the one they needed to sell. And that definitely didn't help their growth concerns. So that's one of those assets where, again, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the world to just be like, all right, let's hold that one. Let's not worry about that. And let's find another way to increase growth. And what? They made like a couple billion off that? Like that's really nothing for a country. Like, so that was weird, bro. It was very, very weird why Germany did that. But if they held, it would be up a lot more. Why Stuttgart? I went to a tournament. It was the International 2016 World Tournament for debate. I know that sounds super nerdy, but that was in Stuttgart. Guys, give me 1 second. I got to plug in my computer. Give me 1 sec. Okay, cool. We're good. So yeah, that's why I went to Germany. But you got Rick right here at 50, Bitcoin 88,000, 89,000. If it can rebound back above 90,000, that would be bullish. Robin at 32.20. MicroStrategy probably tanked on this. MicroStrategy is slightly down. It was up 4%. Now it's up 1%. And then Coinbase is down 1.4%. And Palantir struggling to stay above that $60 level. Where is SoFi? SoFi is 13th. SoFi. No, my option gains. They're going to go away. They're going to, in the words of Carp, get eviscerated. Now I am only up 240%. I was up 297% on my options. This is such bull market vernacular that I'm using. I'm only up 240%. I was up 290%. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, SoFi is taking a little bit of a hit right here. Now, if SoFi gets back to 10, that would be a little upsetting given their growth and momentum. I think they're starting to normalize the 12s and 13s very well. I don't know what takes them down outside of the entire market falling down. But I don't know. SoFi's getting hit right here. Is JP Morgan getting hit? Are all the banks getting hit? No. Why is SoFi down but JP Morgan's green? Is Bank of America down? Nope. Bank of America's green. So SoFi is independently falling against the banks. Yeah, look at that. Most of the banks are up. HSBC, JPM, KRE, Zion, XLF, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Is SoFi down because Nubank's down? Is that the reason? Maybe that's the reason. Nubank is also a fast-growing bank like SoFi. Maybe they're both kind of going down at the same time. I don't know why SoFi's down. That's weird. Not sure why SoFi is getting hit right here. Amid, thoughts on Grab? Dude, I have no thoughts on Grab. I know Chris is super bullish about it. I have yet to do any research about it. Chris likes it. Grab right here, down about 2% right now. It's the Uber Eats of Singapore. I should ask my uncle, like, if he likes Grab. I know he uses it, but like, would he invest in it is a good question, because I'm sure it's around in Singapore like every day. He lives there. I don't know. You know, Chris is getting obsessed with the financials. He's like, these are amazing. And so I have to sit down and talk with him. We'll probably do a podcast on it and we'll give that to you guys. But I have no thoughts on this yet. I have absolutely no thoughts on this one right now. Let me check their 5-year performance. So Grab stock over the past 5 years, down 60%. So it is hopefully at a bottom. Year to date, it's up 45%. So this has been a good year. Past 5 years have been bad, but maybe that's where the opportunity is for Grab. Grab is huge in Thailand as well. Yeah, all of Southeast Asia, Grab is seemingly getting someone. Oh yeah, Sanjay, you're in Singapore. Would you invest in Grab? I'm assuming you use the product. Would it be something you invest in? Robin at 32.23, Uber 70.95. Wow, Uber was at 85 last week, folks. Uber got hit. I think Uber got hit as Tesla went up. Tesla is at 3.23. Tesla also getting down 2% right here. Rocket Lab's down bad. Where's Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab, yeah, 7% on Rocket Lab getting hit. Again, it was up 30% yesterday. This is normal. I don't think this is anything egregious right here. It's a monopoly in Vietnam as well. All right, maybe we got to take a deeper look at Grab. Maybe we really got to take a look at Grab. Rocket Lab. So I want to look at the put premiums on Rocket Lab right now and see what they're looking like, because I would imagine the $15 put is paying a decent amount. So if we go to options, December 13th, about a month out. Let's see what Rocket Lab is giving us. Do you think HIMS bottomed? I have no clue, dude. I have no clue on if HIMS bottomed. HIMS is a really... I still don't know if they have a moat, but I know they have a lot of good growth, and the market doesn't know if they have a moat either, which is why it's struggling. Yeah, so on Rocket Lab, a $15 put 1 month out, you can get a 4.3% return, which is not bad. If you do 16, you could get a 6.2% return. Now the question is it worth paying 16 or 15 for Rocket Lab? But the broader put premiums are going higher as Rocket Lab falls after a pretty good earnings. Palantir right here, $60.33. Bitcoin, 89,256. S&P at 596. Disney, 113. Disney up 10% on the day, so Disney is having a decent day. Netflix at 837. Nubank at 1430. Nubank is down 8.6% on the day. And again, HIMS is getting hit back. Wow, HIMS down 15% just because Amazon is entering into telehealth. That's it. That's the headline. That is wild, bro. That is wild. Check the $12 strike for Rocket Lab. Okay, December 13th, $12 strike. You are getting paid 0.8%, 0.8%. So about 1%, which is not horrible. That's not horrible. There is not a percentage option return chart. I just do the math on my calculator, obviously. Not in my head. We're not at that level yet. But if you just take the premium divided by the collateral, you get the percentage return. And that's how you can figure it out. Do you have any thoughts on Honest? I like their growth, but I don't know if it's undervalued or overvalued right here, but their growth was incredible, and it makes sense why Honest is up 10%. SoFi now getting hit down 1.13%. MSTR as well, down about 1.5%. And you got Tesla, 321, down 2.5%. Chris CRM says, I got out of SMCI, hit my stop loss, and also realized I'm FOMO looking for bottomed out stocks. The problem is sometimes there are reasons going to refocus on just investing in great companies. Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't feel bad about that. I think a lot of people thought there was a good bottom on SMCI and they could get in. And look, it's the risk you take, right? Especially with these swing trades, you take your losses and you kind of just move on for it. But the problem is, bro, this was not the company's not executing. This is management is lying. At least that's the perception. Management is lying to investors. And whenever you get into that world, it's just really hard to recover, bro. When people can't trust you, you're done. When people can't trust you, it is really, this is why Robinhood struggled for 3 years, right? No one trusted Vlad after GameStop. No one trusted him. Everyone thought he was full of shit. And for good reason, right? The GameStop stuff was really just suspicious in terms of how they navigated all of it. And their communication was awful. It was really bad. But that's where the opportunity was. And the risk I took was that eventually the product would win. And, Vlad's not a bad person. That was just a bad time. And things played out. With SMCI, you've got to really believe that they are not actually lying. The problem is they have a history of lying in 2018, 2020, right? And that's why I think the street's so upset about it. And they can't come to a conclusion on if this is meaningful enough to buy the dip on. Robinhood's up 1.6%. Yeah, Robinhood's staying kind of green in a little bit of a bloody market. Robinhood did take a hit yesterday, about 3%, so maybe he's getting back some of those gains. But Qs are red. IWM is red. JD.com down 7%. Let me pull up their earnings. They had earnings today. They're red right now. And the S&P is currently red as well. JD.com, 260 billion yuan, up from 247 billion in Q3 revenue. Non-GAAP is up 29% year over year. Non-GAAP EBITDA margins up 17%. EBITDA margin up from 5.2%. Free cash flow 13.8 billion. Revenue up 5% year over year. So they beat on the top and the bottom line. EBITDA margins are green, but JD.com right here is down 7%. Is Alibaba down with it? Alibaba is also down 2%. Dude, Baba was 120 on the stimulus pump in September. I mean, look at this thing, dude. It got to 117. Now it's right back down to 90. Like, so far, the China pump just did not last at all. Now, 90 is better than, 60, where it was at in the beginning of the year. But still, that China pump has not fully played out. Fourth day in a row, the Qs are red. Didn't you say it's the first time in a long time for that to happen? Yes, but the Qs have to end the day red. So at 4 p.m., if they end red, then it'll be 4 days in a row of the Qs being red, which could signal a legit downtrend, or it could signal a massive buy the dip, because we're not, you just don't get that many days in a row red. It's going to be one or the other. And the market's going to decide over the coming weeks. But also, is it the craziest thing if the Qs go back to 500? Is it the craziest thing if the S&P goes back to 580? Is that the worst thing in the world? It's gonna feel like a gut punch, but market's the most expensive it's ever been in a long time. I think some consolidation here is not crazy. Rocket Lab's definitely not going to be at $17 if S&P goes back to 580. I think Robinhood's probably going to get hit closer to $26, $27. Palantir's probably going back to 52, 53. But so it would suck for individual stocks. SoFi is probably going back to $10 if the S&P goes back to 580. But it would be some form of consolidation. Now, the scary part about if that happens is that, all right, so that was the Trump pump. Then the Trump pump basically got faded if the S&P goes back to 580. So will the Trump pump come back? That is going to be the scary part, because once you have a pump and then that pump disappears, Bitcoin's probably going back to 75,000 if that happens, right? Then everyone's waiting for the Trump pump again, or they're waiting for some pump. And if that doesn't happen, then people start losing confidence. They say, fuck it, I'm going to take my profits. And then it gets into this spiral. So that's the one sad part, or I would say it's a little bit scary, right? It's healthy, but it's scary, because then people are wondering what's the next catalyst. And the election was the catalyst this time. But if that catalyst is gone, then everyone's going to be waiting for the next one. Where is BTC? Where is BTC? BTC, yeah, 88.5. Bitcoin definitely breaking lower from that 91,000 range. Also, you do have tax loss harvesting. Now, one thing about tax loss harvesting is it really depends on the state of the market, right? Because if you're sitting on a lot of gains, you don't want to take profits until January 1st, because then you get to wait an extra 16 months to take your profits, because you don't have to pay taxes until April, at least in the United States, until 2026. So you might have some people that are just wait to take profits, which could hold off on the selling. But you could also have people that are down so much on positions that they just say, all right, let me reduce my taxes in 2025, and they actually take that loss. So based on if the market is red in December, then I think people will just say, screw it, I'm going to take my loss and take my profits and have them bounce out. If the market's really green, I think people wait until that first week of January. And so I think December is going to determine. Also in December, do we get another rate cut, right? That's another thing that the market's worried about. And probabilities did come down from 90% to 75% this morning based on the PPI data. Currently just went up from 76 to 79. So it went up about 3% over the past 30 minutes for that December 18th meeting. but now that's what the market is going to be thinking about as well. Amit, please look at Zim. This is a shipper, right? I know Zim. I've heard of Zim. Zim Integrated Shipping. Yeah, they're up 8% today. I haven't looked at them in a while, but I know about this. Wow, they're up 140% this year. Yeah, Zim got a lot of attention when the auto workers were on strike, because that was changing a lot of the shipping routes. But Zim right here, I'll go through their numbers. Small company, $3 billion company, but they've had a good year. They've had a good year as one of the shipping companies, up 140%. T says the super healthy pullback. Yeah, it could be a super healthy pullback. Cindy says, could NVIDIA's earnings be a catalyst? It could be, but NVIDIA's got to crush, bro. NVIDIA can't just put up 32.5 billion. NVIDIA, in my opinion, they've got to put up 34 billion. They've got to beat expectations by 1.5 billion. I know that's a lot to ask, but Blackwell should be leading the way for them to do that. And if they can do that, I think that can definitely be a catalyst to the upside. Now, granted, NVIDIA's up a lot this year, and investors are, they're hesitant still about NVIDIA if they can keep this going. So they're going to have to be very definitive in their guidance and their earnings for investors to think, okay, 2025 demand's not going away. And like every time Jensen talks with these investors, he tells them the same thing, and then they get so excited and they upgrade NVIDIA. We got a ton of upgrades today as well that I'll pull up. But then when it comes to earnings, they get scared because like they always feel like they're walking on thin ice. And if NVIDIA can actually keep this stuff up. So here's what Raymond James said on NVIDIA. They raised them to 170, up from 140. November 20th. Yes, November 20th is their earnings. We expect another strong quarter driven by healthy Hopper demand and early Blackwell ramps. However, consensus has already moved up and supply remains a wild card, which could limit near-term upside. We believe 34 billion revenue for 3Q fiscal 2025. Consensus is 32.9. So same thing I was saying. They've got to beat by at least $1 billion. And 37 to 37.5 billion guidance is a more likely outcome. Our base case is for NVIDIA to ship 100K Blackwell GPUs in fourth quarter, which we believe is the low end of near investor expectations. While demand is not an issue, NVIDIA's BS inventory is at a 4-year low. Blackwell cycle times are longer, and NVL systems are much more complex than HGX boards. October monthly sales data from key NVL assemblers, Foxconn and Quanta, also point to gradual ramps. That said, we expect Blackwell ramps to accelerate in the first half and see strong demand through 2025. We raise our estimates from 140 to 170 and view any pullback as an opportunity for NVIDIA. So they're not alone. A lot of other firms continue to upgrade NVIDIA. But NVIDIA's got to show some growth for that to happen. Okay, let's look at the Mag 7. Where are the Mag 7? We have red Mag 7s outside of NVIDIA. That's up 1.4%, and Apple. That's slightly green. Microsoft's down, Meta's down, Google's down, Amazon's down, Tesla down 2.2%, and NVIDIA up 1.3%, Apple up 0.2%. Let's look at the crypto stocks. BitX is down. Miners are down. Robinhood is up 1%. MicroStrategy is up 2%. Cypher's up 2%. Iren up 2%. Riot and Marathon are down. Hut 8 Mining down up 1.3%. CleanSpark's down 2%, and then Coinbase down 0.3%. Bitcoin 89,000. Ethereum 3,100 right now. Where's Lunar? Is Lunar still pumping? Oh, Lunar's down. Oh, yeah, I forgot they got halted. Lunar's down 4%. So they were up 17% in the pre-markets, and now they're down 5% right here. Yeah, I mean, to me, that was just, if they had a good earnings, then that's fine, but it's a small company. People are going to take profits. That means Rocket Lab should be down more right now. Rocket Lab getting hit, down 6%. ASTS should be down then. ASTS is slightly green. It went from up, I think, 5% to up about 0.8%. And then HIMS, oh boy, HIMS is down 17%. This is wild, bro. This is so wild. Like Amazon entering into your space and the market's like, yeah, we're so unsure of you as a business that we're taking away 17% of your value. That's wild, bro. XRP is at an all-time high. Oh, Steve should be happy about that. XRP. Let's check XRP on CoinMarketCap. Steve should be very... You know what's funny, though? Steve loves XRP so much. He barely owns it, bro. I was like, Steve, how do you like get on me for not owning XRP and you don't even have a significant chunk of your portfolio in it? XRP, it's up 31% past 24 hours, 71 cents, $40 billion market cap for XRP. Dogecoin's at 57, so Dogecoin's beating it. But XRP at a $40 billion market cap. Solana's at 100 billion, Ethereum's at 374, and Bitcoin's still at a 1.7 billion or trillion dollar market cap. It is now the top 7 assets on the planet. Gold is 17 trillion for some context. Are we still green on Disney? Disney is, Disney's up 8%. It was up 10%, so it's up 8% now. But Disney still continues to be green. S&P 500, 595, down about 0.21. The Q's down about a third. BABA down 1.6. SMCI. Oh, there's a green candle right there. You got some green on SMCI. It was down 9%. Now it is down, or it was down 12%. Now it's down 9%. And you got a Robinhood currently green. Where's Palantir? Are we still holding 59? Palantir 60-20. All right, so Palantir showing some really good strength. If we're actually above 60 right here, you've got a decent amount of buyers coming in right now. Did you see that Doge is more valuable than Ford? I did. Doge is also more valuable than Oxy, which is kind of wild. What was the other one I was about to look at? Enphase. Yeah, Enphase. Where's Enphase at? Enphase 60-25. Oh, Enphase did hit 59. It got 59. All right, so let's just check the premiums on Enphase. I'm not going to be selling puts on Enphase, but I'm curious, how much is the market willing to pay? Outside of 10% premiums, I think there's a lot of risk with it. So if we do, let's just say $58, December 13th. Yeah, 4%, dude. It's not that exciting. The premiums aren't that amazing either. It's really not that, the premiums are not that exciting. The risk versus the premium reward. I mean, Enphase is down a lot. I would expect the premiums to be way higher because you're taking more risk with these puts. Or in general, people should be more excited to buy puts because they think it's going to keep falling. I don't know, dude. I'm not touching SMCI or Enphase because I don't know. I don't think solar has a big runway over the next couple of years. Out of all the industries to invest in, solar is not the one that feels like the sexy industry that's undervalued. Probably undervalued just based on the pure numbers, but in terms of the actual macro landscape, Trump does not care about solar. At least not right now. Sarji, thank you for the $5 super chat. What's up with Moderna? Where is the bottom? Your thoughts, please. So Moderna, this is one that I've been looking into a little bit. I think all the pharmaceuticals are struggling right now with their pipelines, right? So the problem with Moderna to me is that they don't have a dividend versus Pfizer. You're buying it at 11-year lows, but at least you get a 6.3% dividend. So if you're buying Pfizer at 11-year lows, you're like, okay, maybe it's bottomed. It's at its decade low. So if it goes lower, then all right, I made a wrong choice. But theoretically, I should be in a situation where it doesn't go lower than where it was 10 years ago. And I get a 6.3% dividend, even if it does tank lower, at least I get some return. Moderna came to prominence when COVID was happening. They don't have a dividend. They were more of a growth stock. If you look at their chart, it's absolutely crazy because during COVID, as you can see, they got to almost $500. mRNA vaccines started becoming more important. And then since then, they've come back down. I don't know what's in their pipeline. So if you're bullish on Moderna, you've got to be bullish on the next big drug. And, I'm not the biggest pharmaceutical guy, but I also don't know what that next, it wasn't monkeypox as people thought that might've been it. So it's what is it, right? I think that's what everyone's wondering about right now. All right, we got some Disney analysis right here on CNBC. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll keep going from there.
Through with every threat that he has made, just using it as a negotiating, trying to defend.
Securities analyst has a buy rating and a target of 110. Although, Michael, with this reaction to earnings, which I think is the biggest earnings gap higher in a couple of decades, does your target change?
Well, I can't really talk about whether the target will change or not, but what I will point out is that, number one, I think the most important takeaway from this call was management providing multi-year guidance for earnings, which shows a lot of confidence that they have in their visibility into the model. We can talk about that more, but when you look at what that guidance implies for earnings growth relative to where consensus was and where we were prior to this print, you can see that we were below what the company is now guiding to, so we look at that favorably.
The other thing we were talking about this morning with Jim and David was Hugh Johnston's point on Squawk, that the business mix, he's very happy with. Linear doesn't seem to be an orphan you need to spin away. Does that make Disney the cleanest model to evaluate right now in media?
Well, it's a tough to answer that. I don't know if I'd call it the cleanest, just because it does have such a diversity of assets. So there are challenges. One of the things you and I've spoken about in the past is that the parks was always this part of the business that investors could depend on as being solid, and that was called into question over the last couple of quarters with some concerns about the consumer. So I don't know if I would say cleanest. However, we do agree with the comments that Hugh made earlier today about the asset base. We've long believed that companies like Disney that have very strong content bases and intellectual property bases don't need to divest old media. They just need to make sure that they're using every different window they have to reach the consumer in the most effective way, both for current monetization, but also for future growth.
So as he says right there, biggest gap up on Disney in a couple decades, which is wild. Disney has not had a 10% day in a long time. And it's based on what we were talking about, that multi-year guidance that they gave to the street is what is getting the market excited. And that's why you're seeing Disney get some momentum right here. Tesla is below 320. Tesla at 319, down 3.2%. Tesla was at 360 on Monday. Tesla is at 319 on Thursday. So Tesla getting hit right here, taking it on the chin. Again, Tesla's up a lot. So, for the people that bought at 340, 350, this is where you learn the beautiful concept of DCA. I've been there before. Everyone's been there, but there's not much you can do, right? Other than DCA when you buy it, if it's a little bit higher than where it goes down. Ron Barron was supposed to speak today. He wasn't on CNBC though. I thought we would get him in the morning, but we didn't. So not sure why he wasn't on today. Maybe he's on tomorrow. Arrows, thank you for the $2 super chat. Thoughts on DOL? Annual returns are attractive. DOL. What is DOL? Oh, what is this? Wisdom Tree International Large Cap Dividend ETF. Okay, so if this is the right one, any dividend ETF to me I love them because you get a dividend and you get to hold them, and it's very safe, right? So whenever people ask me about like the Schwab dividend ETF or I love them because I think everyone to an extent should have part of their portfolio into dividends. Just something that is repaying you, and it's better to have it in a dividend ETF versus a dividend stock because you never know what happens to the stock itself. But in an ETF in and of itself, it's not going to go up 300% like Palantir, but it's going to be something very stable, something you can rely on, and something that will be rebalanced with the best dividend paying stocks. So I love these. I think there's a good idea. Next year, I want to start DCing into one of these as well. Schwab SCHD, that's a big one. You don't need to expect a ton of returns, but you can expect some stability. And over the long term, over 20 years, if you're holding this thing, it's a nice thing to just give you a little bit of income. So that's not horrible. Melanie says, I think of daily oral language for DOL grammar practice. I love that. Melanie's a teacher for those that don't know. I love that, bro. Dude, I was thinking the other day, like how long it's been since I've been in school. It's been a long time, bro. I graduated school in 2016. It's 2025, 2024. So let's do the math. 8 quick maths, obviously. There you go. I'm right on that, right? That's 8 years. I better be right on that. So it's been 8 years since I've been in school, bro. Like it's been a long time since I guess college kind of counts, but it's been a long time since I had to listen to a teacher and raise my hand to go to the bathroom, bro. That was a long time ago. Now I just you're independent as an adult. It's totally different. But that is funny because I imagine you do those morning practices with your kids, Melanie. So that's awesome. I love it. You meant Dollarama. My bad. Okay. What is Dollarama? Dollarama. I've never heard of Dollarama. This is an OTC stock. Dollarama. What is this? Yeah, I have no opinion on this because I don't know what this is. Dollarama, what I'm looking at right here is an OTC stock. It looks like it's up a lot this year on the over-the-counter markets. Yeah, I have no opinion. I have no idea what this is, Arrows. But the Dole dividend ETF, I think that's a good idea if you want to get into that. Dollarama is the Canadian Dollar Tree. Really? Canada sells stuff for $1? Don't they tax the crap out of you? How do they afford to sell stuff for $1, bro? What? Canadian Dollar Tree. Let's look up their website, Dollarama. Dollarama Inc. Dollarama. Okay, yeah, I'm on their website. Yeah, I guess this is the Canadian dollar store. There you go. Boom. Bulk sales of retail products. Yeah, no idea about them. I can comment a little bit about Dollar Tree in the United States and Dollar General, but these guys I'm just not fully sure about. Makes sense though that other, countries have a dollar store, or like some type of a dollar store. Okay, so what else do we have right here? So Doll is up 50.47, Tesla 317, now Tesla's really getting hit. Enphase right here 59.92, Palantir 59.56, Disney 111, Hims 23, Hims getting up a little bit. It was down 17%, now it's down 14%. Nvidia is actually green today, up 1.4%. Nvidia is indeed actually green today, up 1.4. Thoughts about Carnival Cruise? Look, I like it. Krish likes it as well. Their debt refinancing is coming down as interest rates go down. That's great for Carnival. Cruise demand is amazing. They're profitable. All the cruise lines have had impeccable earnings. So, I mean, look, unless we get into a recession where people just don't want to go on cruises anymore, then we probably, are going to be okay with the cruise lines. But I think interest rates coming down is definitely a tailwind for them. Again, speaking of cruises, I had a dream last night that I was on a cruise. It was a really weird dream, bro. It was a super, super, super weird dream. Again, I slept from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. last night. So I slept for a long time. And I don't even remember what we were doing on the cruise, but it was just so many weird dreams. And I didn't even eat melatonin, bro. I slept for 12 hours with no melatonin, which is wild. Like I just slept. And usually dreams are crazier when you have melatonin, but last night didn't need it for dreams to still be wild. Spotify's crushing. Robinhood 34, 32, 12, Spotify 42. Yeah, look at Spotify up 3% again today after a monster day yesterday. So Spotify getting some love. Is AppLovin getting some love? AppLovin is up another 2%. This stock right here, dude. I think most of us missed it. I definitely missed it. This stock year to date, 651% year to date. It's hard to get those types of years, bro. Hard to get these types of years. AppLovin, 650%. It was at $38. Now it's at $300. Imagine you bought some calls on this one. I mean, goodness gracious. That one is huge. Just a huge, huge year. And that should be good. Oh, did you get out of jury duty? No. So I called them and they did say that I can reschedule again, but this would be my second rescheduling. So for the third one, I can't reschedule. So they said you can get out of it one more time, but after this time, you have to do jury duty. So I'm going to reschedule for this December 9th jury duty. And I really hope the next time I get it, it's not during a really important week, which I feel like is going to happen because, of course, that's how it happens. But I get to get out of it. It's just next time, I don't know if it's going to be bad, dude. So, yeah, that's what we're going to have to do when it comes to jury duty. Okay, let's get an update on Bitcoin. Here is VanEck's Matthew Segal, one of the big Bitcoin analysts. Let's get his perspective on what he thinks is happening with Bitcoin. Thoughts on Shopify? I think Shopify is great. I do think it's a little expensive right here after going up 20% yesterday. But I think Shopify, next 5 years, e-commerce is only growing more and more and more, and Shopify is executing.
This year, let's talk about the crypto market and bring in Matthew Segal, head of digital assets research at VanEck. I thought, Matt, that it was definitely long in the tooth, this sort of mania. You say there's, at least for your work, that you don't necessarily see that yet in terms of whether it's totally overdone?
Joe, we think it's just getting started. As we expected, Bitcoin saw this high volatility pump after the election. We're now in blue sky territory, no technical resistance, and we think we're likely to make repeated all-time highs over the next 2 quarters. The same pattern played out 4 years ago. Between the election and the end of the year in 2020, Bitcoin doubled. There were about 10% corrections. So it's not going to be a straight line, but we're up 30% so far. And a number of indicators that we track are still flashing green for this rally to continue. This is a state change in terms of government support. Look at this cabinet, the VP, Attorney General, Director of Defense, National Security Advisor, possibly even the Secretary of Treasury being pro-Bitcoin. That's not including Elon and Vivek. So the number of calls that I'm getting inbound from investment advisors who are at 0 and looking to get to 1%, or at 1% and looking to get to 3%, these calls are starting to accelerate, and we think the flows are going to follow. So our price target for this cycle is 180K. We think we can reach that next year. That would be 1,000% return from the bottom to the peak this cycle. That's still the smallest Bitcoin cycle by far.
And double from here, basically. You look at weird things, Matthew, like, so you Google search for Bitcoin is one of the things. So you would expect, if we were getting toppy, you would expect that was off the charts, and it's not yet?
Google searches are nowhere near where they were 4 years ago. Coinbase's rank in the Apple and Android app stores, nowhere near where it was 4 years ago. Look at the internals of the derivative markets, what it costs for funding to put on Bitcoin futures trades. You know, it's up, but once we get into this price discovery mode, it tends to stay elevated for quite some time.
What if Gensler's gone, as Trump said on day one, or someone said on day one? I mean, I could imagine that. I don't know when, though, it actually becomes a sell on the news, because I don't know. Maybe I'm just think that it's more of a mania move now than it actually is. But it just seems like it's been a heck of a move. Think it'll move when Gensler's gone, if he's gone?
Yeah, I think, you know, maybe the disappointment phase will set in 1 to 2 quarters after the inauguration. Okay. There's really 4 major impacts here. Okay. You know, one is just the positive impact on dynamism when you stop suing people for breaking rules that have never been written down. That's a long way of saying that regulation by enforcement is going to end. We're already seeing the economic impact of that. There are crypto projects that are announcing that they're going to hold conferences in the US for the first time ever, open offices in the US and New York. It's just great for US jobs and GDP, right? We've got the Bitcoin reserve that would legitimize this asset as a reserve asset, pave the way for it to be used as a global settlement currency.
So he's giving all the bull cases. I really hope all those bull cases does not mean that, you know, we're having to justify the strength of Bitcoin right here. Because, like, for example, when he says, well, Google trends are not as high as they were back in 2021. He's right about that. We looked at that chart yesterday, but it's getting up there, right? And so I think everyone's using 2021 as a barometer of when Bitcoin topped. And everyone is also very afraid because most people missed the top in 2024, right? Or 2021. And so I think no one wants to miss the top again. That would be heartbreaking, especially for the OGs that have held for, you know, very long periods of time. It is kind of ironic though, right? Because people want to hold Bitcoin forever, but then they don't want to miss the top, implying that they want to sell Bitcoin for fiat currency, which doesn't make any sense if you like believe in Bitcoin long term, which goes back to the whole gamification aspect of this asset. But regardless, I think everyone wants to figure out, when is this party over? And you got some people saying 120, 150 when the party is over. Bernstein says 200,000 is when the party starts to wind down. And then you have some people saying, you know, can we even get to 100,000? So I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out how that plays out. BuzzFeed is up 17%. So Vivek Ramaswamy owns some of these guys. Why are they up 17%? I don't think they had earnings. Vivek owns like 10% of the company now. He bought them a while ago. BZFD. This is definitely a small cap. Oh, yeah, they have results, earnings. So 53% affiliate commerce revenue growth, advertising revenue growth, 9%, 80 million audience hours spent on the website. There you go. It's up on that. Again, BuzzFeed is a $130 million company. Like, it's a very, very small company. So if you buy this one, you got to be ready for volatility. But this one is up 18% on the day. Spotify's up 2%. App Lovin's up a little bit. Bitcoin 88,873. Everything else went red. Palantir is now red 59. Rocket Lab 1743. That's down 7%. Nvidia's slightly green. Robinhood slightly green. S&P is down. The Qs are down almost 0.5%. Qs are taking a little bit of a hit there. Alibaba's down 1.3. SMCI is down 7. Uber's slightly up. SoFi was green, then it just went red, 1345. Coinbase is red. MicroStrategy's up a little bit. Netflix 835. Cisco's red by 2%. Nubank's red by 10%. Joby and Archer are up about 2%. And then Celsius is up about 1% on the day. All right, there you go. We're probably going to get a little bit of volatility as we've gotten a really good past couple of weeks in the market. Stocks move 20% every day. Look at HIMS, and people shit themselves when Bitcoin does it. I don't get it. Well, the thing about when stocks move 20%, I mean, first, not every stock does, right? Like, but a lot of these growth stocks, they can go through that. But Kraft Heinz or JP Morgan's usually not going to do that. But with HIMS, there's a real business model, right? So there's a reason that people have why it's down 14% today. And today's reason is because of Amazon. But with Bitcoin, when it goes down or up, people, I think, are more afraid, and they, quote unquote, shit themselves because they don't know why. And the lack of clarity and the uncertainty that people have when Bitcoin goes up or down, the fact that the asset is just going up or down for the hell of it. And that's the nature of the asset. It's a global currency, and there's so many different elements to how it's manipulated. That's what makes people scared. Whereas HIMS, we have an easy story. Okay, Amazon's going to be competitive with them. Maybe their growth slows down. Boom, down 15%. Now, is that an aggressive 15%? Yes, but that is the logic behind it. Whereas with Bitcoin, usually people don't know. Like, why did it go down from 93,000 to 89,000? I don't know. Why did it go up from 88,000 to 93,000 yesterday? I don't know. It's just a fun ride, but it's a ride that goes up and down and up and down, and no one knows. No one really knows why. ASTS or Oklo, any earnings trades? So these two are very interesting. Again, both of them are up triple digits year to date. They both have earnings after the bell. Oklo did acquire a company today. Oklo's up 2% right here. Oklo acquired a company for $25 million in stock. So that was one headline they had today to help them with their radioactive market. So Oklo acquired Atomic Alchemy for $25 million. And the acquisition will leverage Oklo's fast reactor technology to support semiconductor doping and create new revenue streams. So both of these stocks are up year to date, triple digits. I have no idea what to expect going into earnings because, I mean, when you're up that much, unless you absolutely crush it, you go down usually. And I don't even know what we're looking for in terms of crushing it, because are we looking for revenue? We're definitely not looking for profitability. Are we looking for guidance? Like, what does the street want? I guess we'll find out today, but none of us actually fully know. But that's what we got in the context of Oklo. Imagine young Amit always debating his way out of trouble. Dude, in school, that's what I used to do, bro. I debated my way out of trouble. It wasn't really trouble though. Like for example, when I had to go to debate tournaments, I had to miss classes, or sometimes I had to get extensions on homework. And, I would go up to the teacher after school and I would present my argument. And my teachers were really supportive. They were awesome. I had really good teachers. But it was always so funny because they're like, they knew that I was a debater. So they knew that they were about to get convinced into, they're like, you're convincing me right here. You're using your debate skills. And I was like, no, I'm not using my debate skills. I'm just trying to say, can I get an extension, right? It was so funny. Shout out to Mrs. What's her name? Mrs. Stockwell. She was awesome. She was my English teacher. She was great. She was absolutely awesome. Logan, what time do you go live every day? My YouTube did not notify me again. UK time zone. So I go live 8:45 every day. So in the UK, that is 1:45 for the UK. So 1:45 p.m. in the United Kingdom. Mornings in the States, evening in the United Kingdom. Powell's at 3 p.m. Powell's speaking at 3 p.m. Powell is speaking at 3 p.m. today. What is Powell even speaking about? He just had an FOMC, he's just going to say the same stuff he's been saying. He is at the Federal Reserve Bank in Texas. Okay, so he's going to be speaking in Texas today. I would love to get a brisket one day with Powell, bro. That would be fun. Get some ribs with Powell. That would be like just. I wonder what he's like to talk to, like outside of the whole inflation stuff. Dude, if I was getting dinner with Powell, though, the jokes would be like, you know, I would come back with the food to the table. I'd be like, damn, Jerome, man, this inflation's crazy, bro. The meat's going. He would have to laugh, bro. There's no way he doesn't laugh at that. But like, Jerome, what you doing, bro? Like, how are you cutting rates? This inflation's ridiculous right now. That would be so funny, bro. That would be so funny. I don't know if I could call him Jerome. I would feel so scared. Like, his name is Mr. Powell or J. Powell. I have a feeling he has a potty mouth. Dude, he definitely has a potty mouth. Remember when he said to close the fucking door? Like, he absolutely has a potty mouth. And remember when they asked him if Trump would fire him, would he leave? And he said no. I feel like he wanted to be like, no, bitch. Like, I feel like that's what he wanted to say, but he didn't, it was inappropriate. But J. Powell definitely has a sailor's mouth, 100%. What do you do if the joke falls flat? I mean, you get up from falling and you make another one. That's it. That's the story of my life. You keep going, and eventually people laugh. Sonny says, starting a position in Nubank, target 5,000 shares in the next 6 months. What do you think? I like it, dude. Obviously, you're paying a premium for Nubank, but their growth is exceptional. I think I think Nubank over the next 5 years, I don't know how they don't continue to expand in Latin America. I mean, they have 100 million accounts just in Brazil, bro. Just in Brazil alone. So their growth is exceptional. I don't think the growth is slowing down. I think they have a pseudo monopoly in the types of businesses they offer. And when I mean pseudo, obviously there's other banks, but the way that they have integrated banking in a way that actually gets people to sign up to their accounts and then deposit money and then, work with their clients that traditionally have been bankless. I just don't see any other company doing that. And I think that's their moat. And I think they're going to increase the amount of loans they give over the next 5 years as the median income in their geography starts to go up as well. And so their net interest income should theoretically just be way higher in terms of growth rates than in the United States, because you've got a lot of more small businesses starting in Brazil, Latin America, etc. I like it. I think maybe selling puts and trying to getting at 12 or 13 is better than 14, maybe even at 11 if we see a little bit of a pullback. But I do like it over the long term. I think they have a really good growth story there. Bond auction this week. Powell will try to talk the stock market down so bond sales are successful. That's definitely something he wants to do. Where's the 10-year right now? 10 years down, 4.428. 10-year is down a little bit. How old were you when you started debate? I was 13, 2010. But I started taking it seriously when I became like around 15. So I started in 7th grade. I think you guys know the story. I started in 7th grade. I was pretty good in 7th grade, but then I quit because I wanted to be a basketball player. So I joined the, basketball team. And that didn't work out. So I went back to the debate team my sophomore year, and then I lost a lot my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I kind of just took off. I kind of got obsessed with it at the end of my sophomore year because I sucked so much during my sophomore year. And then junior year, I legit started, winning a lot of tournaments. My kids that I coach 3 kids in California. They are going to a debate tournament in Chicago next week. It's called Glenbrooks. It is the hardest tournament of the year. Literally, outside of the Tournament of Champions, which is in Kentucky in April, it is the hardest tournament of the year. And they just went to another hard tournament a couple weeks ago, and they lost pretty badly because they're sophomores. Usually juniors and seniors tend to do better. But if you take a look at this, just to show you guys what I mean by I started doing really well my senior year. During that same tournament in the Glenbrooks, I went 7-0. 7 wins, no losses. Those are 7 W's in a row. So this was back in 2015. So yeah, debate really started becoming my life in senior year. Then I ended up losing in octos. This was a bad decision. I lost on a 2-1 decision. You can see 2 L's, 1 W. I won doubles on a 3-0. I really think I should have won this round. I really think I did not deserve to lose on a 2-1. This guy, I did not think I was going to win his ballot. This guy, I thought I was going to win Carlos Taylor. I thought I would lose Scott Wheeler. I ended up losing Carlos Taylor and winning Scott Wheeler. And I felt like I could have got Carlos Taylor and it would have been a 2-1. This guy, Julius Pack, I knew I wasn't going to get him. Like I knew, like there was just no way I was going to get that judge. So should have won the octafinal round back in 2015, but Carlos whooped you. Yes, Carlos. Yeah, I'm mad at Carlos now. I got to call up our Carlos from Finance Junkies and tell him that he made me mad for seeing that. But yeah, debate was super fun. Sophomore and junior year, but I sucked in the beginning and it just took some time to get better at it. NVIDIA 148, Pouncer 59.22. NVIDIA's still holding green, bro, in a sea of red. Robinhood's red, S&P's red, Q's are red, BABA's red, SMCI's red. SMCI is getting eaten up, though, from the dip. SMCI was at 17, now it's at 19. Uber slightly green. NVIDIA, where's Tesla? Yeah, Tesla as well, 319. Tesla getting hit 4% on the day. Do kids still spread in debate? Correct. They still speed read. Yeah, they have to because everyone does it. And so if you're talking slow, the other kids are going to out-talk you, and that's why it's hard. How old were you when you got into stocks? I got into stocks in 2018, so I was 21, but I started taking it seriously at 23. So 21, I got into it. 23, I started actually, taking it more seriously. Is this like boxing? Dude, it's legit, bro. Debate. People don't know debate's like a real industry. There's no commercial aspect to it because it's like kids in high school, right? So it's like an after school activity, but it's an after school activity that people take very seriously. And like the thing about debate is if you do good in debate, you have a good chance of getting into the Ivy Leagues. And like if you're very, very strong in debate, Harvard, Stanford, they look at that stuff. I got waitlisted from Harvard, so they ended up not going with me, which I think is actually the best thing I ever did. I don't think I would be here today if I went to Harvard. I really don't. And obviously hindsight is 2020. We don't know what the counterfactual would have been. But if I went to Harvard, I have an inkling I would have gotten a job at like JP Morgan or Accenture, some fancy institution to uphold the legitimacy of my Harvard degree. I would not have taken the risks that I've taken over the past 5 years in terms of entrepreneurship because that Harvard degree would be, I think, holding me back. It could have been the opposite, though. Maybe I met some crazy kid in Harvard and we build the next Facebook, right? Like that also could have happened. I'm just saying realistically, if that didn't happen, because that's like 1 in a trillion, you meet some smart kid and you build $1 billion company. I think I would have been very reserved and I would not have been as outgoing as I am if I went to Harvard. So I like that I went to a state school. I like that I went to Rutgers, toughened you up, made you realize that, you got to take risks in life. And here we are. Davis says you would have never met me. Yes, I definitely wouldn't have met Davis. Dude, I'm not going to lie. Like I love this shit every day. I think someone asked in the chat, what do I do for a living? It's this. It's content and it's investing. And it's taken many years to get here. And it's not like it pays better than a lot of the 6-figure salaries that people have at these fancy institutions. But I love to do it. I really love to do it. And I want to build a media brand that I think can last for many, many decades. And it's just the most exciting thing in the world. You guys know I love to talk. And so I get to literally listen to myself talk every day for hours. I forget, while you're listening to myself talk, I'm listening to myself talk as well. So, I was a debater, so I love talking. So like now I have a job where I get to talk every single day. And then I love the stock market and it's fun and you get to make money. I mean, it's a stock market. Not every year is like 2024, but you get to talk about money all day. You get to talk about companies. And then if you make the right trades, you get to actually make money, way more money than you could make at a regular job, working, just exchanging your time for money. So it is one of those things where it's the coolest thing ever. And it's really not about, how much money does it pay compared to JP Morgan? It's more so about, do you love what you're doing? And I really do love what I'm doing. But I think if I went to Harvard, that wouldn't have been the case. JP Morgan or an influencer? Yes. The influencer path is way cooler than JP Morgan. But the thing, the downside that people don't understand about the influencer path, and I so cringe even saying influencer, but it's that the job is 24/7. It's not like a 9 to 5 per se, right? Like you're around the clock making content no matter what. And if you're not making content, you're not working, right? So it's one of those things where you gotta just be obsessed with it, absolutely obsessed with it. And then eventually you get a little bit of, audience, you get some momentum. You can like not be as obsessed, but if you want to retain that audience and momentum, like you can't take days off, right? Like look what happened when I went to India. It sucked when we took some days off, and thankfully you guys love the show enough and you guys come back. But like still, that's a death sentence for a content creator. You don't take days off. Whereas in a regular job, you can call in, have a little bit of a sick day, all that stuff. Otherwise, it's not easy if you're a creator. Amit, do you miss Money Talks? What happened to Justin? And I missed that chick. Okay, so actually, I feel like I should say this because it's worth saying this and putting this out there into the world. First of all, put in the chat who remembers Money Talks. Who remember Money Talks? I feel like it's important to say this. Now that you brought it up, it's important. Who remember Money Talks? Put in the chat if you remember Money Talks. This was a show with Tom Nash and Justin. Do you guys remember? Some of you guys remember? Okay, for those that don't remember, I used to do like a sports debate show a couple years ago. That show ended for a variety of reasons, but I ended up hosting it, and they replaced me with a girl named Grace, who ended up being the host after me. Unfortunately, guys, Grace passed away. She passed away. It was a couple months ago I found out about that. I'm not sure exactly how she passed away, but I did find out she passed away. So it is, yeah. I mean, it puts it into perspective, dude. It puts it into perspective. Yep, she did. I never said this, but I think I think the fact that you guys even remember her is it's worth saying this, just like in honor of her memory, right? Putting it out there, because so many times people pass away, and people are passing away every single day. No one remembers them because there's so many people on the planet. People pass away. To have anyone even remember that who you are in your life and your, what impact you've had on your life, because whether you like it or not, if you guys watch that show for a certain period of time, she did have an impact on your life, on my life. But I think it's worth just at least putting out there so that you guys know that she did indeed pass away. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I got the invite to her wake a couple months ago, and yeah, that happened. So I actually don't know what happened. I legitimately don't know. I would have to actually research it. I got the invite to her wake. I don't know if it was like a car crash, drugs. I know it was something that was not the best. But yeah, she did indeed pass. Now, I wasn't super close to her at all. I talked to her for a little bit because before she replaced me as the host, she was the producer of the show. So I would coordinate with her, and we would talk to we would make jokes back and forth with each other in the Slack group and all that stuff. So I knew her to an extent. And then when they replaced me with her as the host, she ended up being the host. And then, yeah, that show ended, I think, end of 2022. And she passed away earlier this year. So goes to show, sometimes people can have an impact on your life and you don't even know them that well, right? Like Grace, as I'm saying it, you guys probably remember her, but you probably don't know her that well, don't remember her that well. But still, everyone has an impact on your life, no matter who you come across. And people end up dying. All of us will end up dying as well. So for those that don't know who I'm talking about Grace. I used to do a show called Money Talks with Tom Nash and another person. And she was the host on the show after I was the host on the show. And yeah, I found that out a couple months ago, dude. It was kind of wild for me too. I know a lot of you guys are like, damn, that's wild. It's wild because she was 24. I think even younger than that. She was either 23 or 24. So it is kind of wild, dude. Any level of people you come in touch with could have an impact on your life. Was not ready for that, bro. Yeah, think about when I got that message, bro. I was not ready for that either, I did not expect that. Was it is one of those things that makes people remember life is precious and things can end very quickly. It's so funny when I got my Tesla and I was driving back, my mom's best friend's son in Germany, he just got into a car crash and he fractured his jaw. And, my mom's pretty close with him, and he's supposed to get married in 3 months. So they don't even know if the marriage is still going to happen because now he's in recovery. My mom, when she was driving back from the Tesla store and I was driving with my sister, her heart she was having a panic attack because she was just so afraid. She was so triggered from her friend's son getting into a car crash. And it was a new car, right? So every mom is worried, it's a new car. Does he actually know how to drive it? All that stuff. And so as soon as I came home, my mom gave me such a big hug. She was so scared that I was going to crash the car. Not because she doesn't trust me, but because, it's a new car. And she just heard about her friend's son getting hit. It's one of those things, bro, where it's life is so precious. And, everyone, including myself, takes it for granted all the time. All the time. But yeah, that was what we had on Grace. So that's what we got from Money Talks. Yeah, in terms of the actual question, do I miss doing Money Talks? Not really. I kind of, the show was okay, but I don't really, I like doing the market open my own way now versus like a produced show. It was a cool show in terms of the production value. I think some of the episodes are still on Spotify. If you type in Money Talks Amit on Spotify, you might see some of them. On YouTube, I think it's gone. But it was fun as a beginning to get into the world of media. But, now managing it on my own is a lot more fun, to do it my own way. Too young, correct. Indeed, too young. The young think that life is short. The older you get and realize maybe not short enough. Yeah, it is just so many different perspectives when it comes to all this stuff. When Boston fan meeting. All right, so definitely in 2025, we've got to do these fan meetings. But I don't know when they're going to happen. I'm trying to set up a plan for that. I think in 2025, every month, I want to go to a new city. And I'm near a bunch of them. Like I'm near Boston. I'm near New York. I'm near even Georgia, right? Like I'm only a 2-hour flight away. I'm near Maine. I'm near Rhode Island. I'm near Vermont. Like I just got to see where everyone is at. And then we got to schedule these meetups. Obviously, Boston and New York are probably the best ones because they're big cities. But next year, that's going to be the plan. At least one weekend every month. I'm going to just tweet out, let you guys know on the channel, whoever's there, and we can all meet up, whoever's there. Adam says, Amit, tell me I'll go to. Yeah, Adam, you got to come with me, bro. We'll go together to all these meetups. We'll go together to all of them. Jersey City, yeah, Jersey, Cleveland. Amit, why don't you come to Singapore and visit your uncle so we can all meet up? Maybe this summer. I was thinking with my cousin, maybe this summer we go to Singapore and we meet up as well. So maybe we will do that. Adam says I'm retired and I need activities. Adam, is that your casual way of flexing that 2024 has been so good for you that you're retired now? 2024 has been pretty damn good for Adam. Profit-wise too, folks. Not just paper gains, profit-wise. So I think Adam's feeling a little bit more comfortable now, given that it's actual money in his account, not just paper profits that he's looking at. Yeah, dude, we're going to do meetups, bro. We're going to do meetups. We're going to do a ton of these meetups. I want at least 12 of them in 2025, once a month. I think in January, New York, DC, or Boston, one of those three. Adam, I'm going to coordinate with you. We can go together. One of those three, because that's the easiest to do. Adam, Adam, what you and me should do is we should get an Airbnb on like a Thursday night or a Friday night, and we leave on like a Sunday night. So it's like a 3-day, you and me can go to a spot, and then we can do a meetup there as well. I think that's actually perfect. That would actually be perfect. Any meetups in Canada? So I'm really close to Canada, so we should do Canada too. I mean, I'm like an hour away from Toronto. I've been to Canada once, to Montreal, but I've never really explored Canada, and I really want to because it's Canada. I feel like I should know more about Canada. So we got to definitely do something in Canada. Caden, thank you for the $10 super chat. Any earnings plays today? So Oklo and ASTS have earnings. I don't know if it's worth a play on those. ASTS 2694, Oklo. I'm not playing them. You got to play them at your own risk. These stocks are up triple digits year to date. It's a little scary going into earnings. They could still crush it, but on a day like today, where the market's kind of being a little risk off, I would personally stay away from them. And you also don't know what metrics you're looking for, given a lot of these companies are pre-revenue, pre-earnings, etc. So I would say no to any plays on those, but they could do well or they could get hit after hours, given they're up so much. Okay, cool. All right, so I think that's like the end of the market close. We'll do some Q&A and we'll talk to the chat for a little bit for the next 10, 15 minutes, but that's the end of the actual market close. So if you guys want to leave, that's fine. I'll see you guys on the market open. I'll see you guys on the market close today. We have those earnings coming up. We do have money market inflows. We'll get actual data, but apparently Bloomberg is already saying it's $7 trillion. So $7 trillion in money market funds officially. I don't know where the hell the money's coming from to buy up the stock market, but you got $7 trillion in money market funds. And on the market close, we will go through earnings, and that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. Okay, let me read some of the stuff you guys are saying. Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, that's one I haven't heard of before. Toronto, definitely. Vegas. I've been to Vegas before, but we probably got to do Vegas again because Vegas is a big one. Community meetup in Toronto. That's a big one. Miami. Yes, Florida. I feel like Miami is a great spot. I know Gene, my boy Gene's in Miami. We got to do Miami. Chicago should be a good one. Dude, this will give me an excuse to travel, though. This is good because, like, one weekend a month of traveling, I think, is cool. I can probably road trip the Tesla for a couple of these. I'll take a flight to some other places like Chicago or Florida. But I like this because 2025, I want to do some more traveling, want to get out a little bit more. And if it's traveling for outside of business-related purposes, because like in 2024, we have done a lot of traveling, but it's always been for like an event, for Palantir or Robinhood or something. So traveling just to travel would be really fun. January, February, March. Yeah, I mean, we don't start earnings until the end of February or early February. So January is pretty much free the entire month. I think we start meetups in January, bro. I think we do it. Yeah, January 11th, 18th, and 25th are those. Also, we have like a long weekend, right? Yeah, we should. Okay, so the meetup should be the 17th through the 20th, because 20th is the Martin Luther King Day, so the market's closed. Oh, but that's the inauguration. No, we're gonna want to watch the inauguration probably. Yeah. Okay, so the weekend before that. That's not horrible. The 9th, the 8th through the 11th potentially. The meetup should be Motel 6. Then you can make Tesla content. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, Amit, I'm looking to start a position in Hood by selling a put. Any recommended strike prices? I like 30 or 29. That would be my strike now on Hood. 29 if you want to be a bit more conservative, 30 to get a little bit more premium. But 29 or 39 is good. Group the meetups together so we can travel a couple cities together. How would that work, though? Group the meetups together. The way I'm thinking of the meetups is Friday night or Friday morning, I land in Boston. And then Saturday is the meetup, right? And then Sunday I leave. That's what I'm thinking about it. Right? Because again, it's not like we're planning a ton of activities there. You're meeting up with people. You're talking, like you're getting to see people, actually getting to shake people's hands, talk to them. Like I would imagine, all right, you get there Friday, then Saturday from like 10 a.m. to like 10 p.m. I'm at some location in Boston that's super well known in public, or something like the town square or something. I'm just making it up. And then whoever comes is whoever comes, and everyone's just chilling, and maybe there's a restaurant nearby and stuff. Like that's how I'm thinking of a meetup, logically. Because again, also other people are busy, right? People are not going to take days and days out of their life just to travel and meet up. But if there's one day where you know, all right, on this day, like everyone's going to be at this location, then I think that's easier for people to come to. I think that's a good idea. I think we got to do it. Time it with your grinder dates, dude. I hate you guys so much. I hate you guys so much. That would work too, but I want to meet as many chat members in one meetup, not just you. Okay, so June, you're just gonna have to travel to them, right? Like for example, if we do the logistics and there's like, I don't know, 30 people that want to meet up in Boston, then if you're not local to Boston, but you still want to come, then yeah, you can. And then maybe you can plan a separate trip for yourself, right? If you're in Boston, because you're coming all the way to like, you can spend a weekend or spend a week in Boston. But I think we would have 1 or 2 days dedicated to that meetup. So other people can come, right? From if you're not local, but if you're local, that's what makes it the easiest for everybody. All right, so what are the cities? Put the cities in the chat. What are the cities? What do we have? Boston, DC, and New York, I think are the, I'm going to write a list right here. Boston, DC, and New York, I think they're the best ones. They're local to me. Boston. I mean, for me, I could do something where I spend an entire week in the city. I get to experience the city, and then whoever's there for a week, we can meet up, and then I can just do the show from an Airbnb every single day. Like, that's also something that we could do. That's not a horrible idea. Johannesburg. All right, it's going to be a little hard to go to South Africa. That's going to be a little difficult. I'm still thinking domestic. You need a tour shirt? Yes, we need a tour shirt. This is going on tour, folks. We're going on tour. I always wanted to be a traveling musician. This is our version of it. Here we go. Miami. Yeah, let's put Miami on the list. I like Miami. Miami works. Let's see. Let's put this on right here. London. Okay, so London I do like, because a lot of you guys, dude, so many of you are in the UK. So I think London, we have to do London. That's going to be a little bit more planning on my end, but I think we have to do London. New Orleans. New Orleans is actually easy because I went to New Orleans. That's actually an easy trip. New Orleans is not horrible. Philly's super easy. We can do Philly. Philly is easy. We can definitely do that one. Dallas is also easy. Texas is easy. Paris is a little tough unless we do a full Europe trip. Toronto. Again, Germany, it's like if we do London, I feel like we got to do Germany and Paris as well. It's a Palantir. Yes, exactly. Dude, imagine we schedule a meetup and then they call me for the final jury duty. Like, guys, I cannot do this jury duty thing. Like, this is getting ridiculous. I feel like they're going to schedule it at the worst time next year, bro. I feel like that's going to have to happen. And then I'm just not going to go, dude. And then the cops are going to show up and I'm be like, dude, I'm sorry. I had to interview Alex Karp. Like, what do you want? You think I was going to go to jury duty that day? Like, come on, bro. What's going on here? Los Angeles. Okay, we got to do LA. I've been to California so many times. You know what's crazy? My sister's never been to California. Maybe I should take my sister with me. I've been to California so many times, bro. Like, it's kind of ridiculous how many times. I've been to California at least 50 times. Like, I've been there a lot. San Francisco and Los Angeles. So California is definitely that flight I've taken many, many, many times. Las Vegas, Seattle. Okay, so these are good suggestions. Now we just have to like see if there's actually people there, right? And I can ask on Twitter too, because we want to do it where a lot of people are and they would be willing to come out. And so we got to see that. All right, there you go. We will be touring in 2025. Also, I really want to do it, bro, because I want to meet you guys. Like, I really want to meet. I've gotten to meet a few of you in person, but I think it's just so special, right? To like actually like meet people in person and like talk to them. And, you know, a lot of you guys have been watching every day for years at this point, definitely all of 2024. Some of you guys watch multiple times a day with the market open, market close. And like actually putting a face to those people would be super special. Super, super special. And, you know, I get to ask you in person if you think I'm funny. And then at the moment, you're going to get, you know, you're not going to be able to say no because like it's in person. You want to be rude. And so I'll have evidence that I actually am funny. Is there a fee to meet you? No, there will be no fee. There won't be anything like that. It should be as easy and free as possible to get everyone to meet. David says he's not that special. Okay, David was definitely blushing when I met him, dude. Davis wouldn't even talk. I had to start all the conversation with him. He was like, he would give me one word sentences. I'd be like, dude, do you talk? Or like, do you just type with your little fingers in the chat? Like, do you actually say stuff? Like, or what's going on here? So, oh, we got to do Dublin. We got to do Dublin. Dublin, you know why we got to do Dublin. Dublin's got to be Dublin. It has to be Dublin. I got to make the joke in Dublin. I met Amit at the Palantir event a while back. Noticed you talk less in person. That was weird to me, but makes sense. Shout out to Chris CRM. Yeah, but remember, Chris, we were meeting when Sham was talking. Remember? We met literally right before Sham was about to talk and give his keynote. If we were just like chilling outside at the convention center, I think we would have been talking a lot more. But yeah, I did get to meet Chris CRM as well, so that was awesome. But if we're in like an actual meetup vibe, you know, if a day dedicated to a meetup, then it'd be super, super, super fun. Sign my boobs. Oh my God. Dude, that was not the top for Jensen. That was at 120. Now it's at almost 150. So whoever said the boobs were the top for Jensen, it was not the top. I can meet you if I wanted to, but I keep swiping left on Grindr when I see you. See, these tough guy jokes, you're not going to make them in person, bro. I guarantee you're not making them in person. You can make them over a screen where you have no consequence, but in person, got to see if we can keep making these jokes, bro. We got to see. But no, dude, I really do want to meet everybody. I think it's cool. Look, I think if this is something we're going to do for a long time, and I plan on, you know, when I plan on moving out and having like, first of all, we plan on upgrading the studio in 2025. Then hopefully by the fall, if things go well, we can move out and then really get a more proper studio in an apartment. You know, I plan on doing this for a long time and building this up to be really special, hopefully over the next 5-10 years. So, and expanding it beyond just market open, market close. Like there's a lot we can do to really build this. And I think actually meeting the people that were here since the beginning, that's like super important. Super, super important. Real bricks this time. Yes, real bricks this time. Amit, what about carp selling bothers me? Again, dude, if it stocks up a lot, you got to remember that. Carp has a lot of financial advisors that are paid a lot of money. And what they're not going to say, well, maybe the market's comping it against OpenAI. They're not saying any of that shit. They're saying, Carp, this shit is overvalued. It's at 140 billion. You need to sell. So you either believe a qualitative explanation around valuation or you buy into the quantitative. And obviously Carp's advisors are giving him a quantitative one, which is the more responsible thing to do. And so he's selling. But again, remember, if you don't have 50 million shares like Carp, if you have 5,000, 10,000, 2,000, like your trimming versus Carp's trimming is at a different level, right? It's important to remember that because you could hold for the next 10 years and still do very well. Carp can't afford to like go through a 50%, 40% drawdown and like have all these shares because his entire net worth, everything is tied to this one company. And he's been there for 30 years, right? So I guess that's also another thing we have to remember. Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, Waffle House meetup, dude. That'd be awesome. I haven't had Waffle House in so long. Admit to not admit to fake bricks. I'm just saying we would have other types of bricks, okay? It's not that they're fake, even though there's a little rip right there in the breaks. That's how strong I am, bro. That's how much I've been working out. I can literally rip a brick. A brick. I can rip a brick. That's how wild it is. Delhi, Mumbai, any Indian cities, or you want to forget your origin. So India, dude, the problem with India is I go there with family. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to go alone to India. I think my mom would freak out if I actually go alone to India. But I would say at least in the next 2 years, I'll be back to India and then we'll do India meetups. So many people asked this time, but I couldn't do it this time because I was just with family. But in the next 2 years, when we go back to India, we will definitely do India meetups. HIMS is down because of Amazon. Amazon's entering telehealth. That's why HIMS is down. Bitcoin 87. Oh boy. Yep. Bitcoin 87.8. Robinhood 31.75. Bitcoin is going down. MicroStrategy 321. MicroStrategy is down 3%. Where's Tesla? Tesla is 319. 318. Tesla is now down. I didn't admit the bricks are fake, dude. I'm just admitting that we're gonna have other types of bricks. You guys are reading into it in the wrong way. It's the wrong way. The bricks are absolutely real. If you are worried, you can always sell with them. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you're worried about carp selling, you can also always sell with them. Amid, he definitely earned his shares. I bet he was selling, knowing he was selling institutions. Yeah, I mean, we saw the institutional ownership go up, so he probably was selling into those institutions as well. What about a cruise for East Coast and West Coast? Again, I'm not a big cruise guy. I would rather just fly East and West Coast to do meetups versus like a cruise itself. But maybe that is possible. I'm not like Chris, dude. Chris loves cruise. I don't like cruise. I went on a cruise before. I don't like it, dude. I really don't. I know I was with my family and maybe if you're like by yourself, but I don't like being in the middle of the ocean. Like it's just not like I'd rather be at a hotel in Vegas where I can go up and down the stairs than be in a casino in a cruise. It's never been that fun for me. Its attention span is not good for, yeah, dude, I'd be looking out in the ocean for too long. I need to be constantly stimulated. Yeah, cruise is not the big thing for me. Can my daughter get a shout out? She turned 17, Milani Perez. Shout out to Milani. Kaus, your dad, is in these streams every single day, even though I know his wife, your mom, definitely doesn't love him being. Dude, a bunch of people on Twitter yesterday also commented it. I think one guy said, I spend too much time with you, Amit. My girlfriend's getting annoyed. And then a bunch of other comments were like, yo, same. I'm dealing in the same situation. And I'm like, hey, girlfriend's not making you money, right? You're not making money with your girlfriend. Your girlfriend's spending your money. With Amit, we get to see the stock market go up. So it's worthwhile spending the time. But yeah, shout out to you, Kaus. Thank you for being here. And shout out to your daughter as well. Is her birthday today? Is she turning 17 today? Happy birthday to her. And thank you for being part of the stream. QUBT is up 42%. QUBT, quantum computing. Dude, what is going on with these quantum computing stocks, bro? Why is this thing up 40%? Like, what is going on here, dude? IONQ, QUBT. I really have to do some research on this because either this is all a scam and quantum computing is very far away and people are just hyping it up, or we've gotten through a breakthrough in quantum computing. And that's why this stock is up almost 200 million in market cap. Mind you, the market cap's only 375 million. So it's definitely a small cap. There's no earnings on this. Price to sales of 1,000. Look, I haven't chased any of these stocks this year. Not the GameStops, not the ASTSs, not the Oklos, none of this stuff. So I'm not chasing this one, but I am curious why the hell they keep going up. I'm really curious what keeps getting these guys to go higher. Quantum computing will be necessary for AGI. You know, that actually, yeah, that doesn't sound crazy. I mean, given the amount of compute AGI needs, that's the first time I've heard that sentence. That actually could be true. And Sam Altman thinks AGI is like 5 years away, which means quantum computing maybe is not 30 years away. That's fair. That's a fair point. I mean, that's the first time I've heard an actual argument for quantum computing that sounds kind of reasonable. And AGI being into the mix makes some sense. Ahmed, have you accessed AIP yet? Yes, I have access to AIP. I've used a bunch of different like modules of it, especially at the AIP con when I was playing with it. But I haven't like built something on top of AIP yet. There is also FOMO. Yes, there's also probably FOMO pushing some of these stocks going higher. I lost over 20,000 this year chasing. Yeah, dude, I lost 20,000 probably over the past couple of years chasing. I can confidently say I've not lost a single dollar chasing this year because I haven't chased. Dude, I remember I chased Enphase because fucking Vitaly got me into Enphase. He got me super excited about it. And I bought that sucker like 180, 200, whatever it was. And then I ended up selling for a loss in like 130, 120 or whatever. That was like 2 years ago. But at least I'm not holding it today. But like even then, dude, even something like Enphase, which is a good company, you know, it's not like a random penny stock. Even chasing all the time, chasing. There's a difference between buying into strength and chasing. And I think we learned that this year with companies like Robinhood and Palantir, that buying into strength has worked because they're quality companies and there's tailwinds, there's catalysts, there's momentum. Whereas other stuff, Oklow's up 30%, let me buy it. It's like, that's not, you know, that you can get burned on that. You can get burned pretty badly from that. Haven't checked anything today. Why are we down a little? Seems like market's just taking profits today. JPow's also speaking. Market's probably a little risk off until JPow speaks. Bitcoin back to 88,000. Bitcoin still, dude, it's showing some strength. I mean, I know it's not at 93 anymore, but holding above 85 is like some pretty decent strength on Bitcoin. It's like not bad, even though it's down. Where's Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab. Yeah, Rocket Lab as well, 5%. It was down 8%. So, I mean, you got people buying some of the dip right here at 1740. Trying to get back to $18 for a Rocket Lab. So is Bitcoin buying into strength at these prices? I think that's a really good question. I mean, if we go to Google Trends right now, let's take a look at Google Trends. Let's just type in Bitcoin and see what it looks like. So Bitcoin right here in Google Trends. It was higher on November 14th. Let me go to, this is past day. Let's go to past 30 days. Okay, so as we can see, it was really high November 12th. Now it's coming down a little on November 14th. Let's look at past 5 years. So 2021 in May, it was peaking. And then November 2021. Look at that. Wow, we are above November 2021. Look at that. Yeah, look at this right here. Actually, sorry, that was 2022. 2022. So we are at June 2022 levels when Bitcoin was at 15,000. That's when it was crashing. People were searching it. But we are still not at the level of 2021 in May when it was really, really spiking. So until we get to that level, I still think, yeah, maybe we are buying into strength. Potentially. Along with, you know, the ETFs and all the other catalysts people talk about. But like there is a lot more there than just retail helping it get pushed up. I do think Bitcoin's headed to 100, dude. I think it's headed to 100. I think the momentum's there, but we got to keep getting rate cuts and we got to keep getting ETF inflows. Retail's definitely coming back with the app downloads. We know that's happening. So now it's just a question of all those catalysts kind of compounding on each other. Robinhood in the App Store is still number 2. Coinbase is still number 1. Crypto.com is number 5. It was number 3 yesterday. So you're definitely getting more people coming into the markets. This is a healthy day for the market. Yeah, I would say this is healthy too. Basically just a well-needed breather. I would say so. I mean, look, we've been going up a lot. Definitely feels like a healthy breather is what we needed. All right. I think that's it, guys. I will be back on the market close. I have the list of the cities: Boston, DC, New York, Miami, London, Philly, Dallas, Toronto, LA, Las Vegas, and Seattle. I think 2025, I'm going to put in the scheduling and logistics work to really make it happen. And we will try to do some meetups throughout the entire year. I think once a month, that's the goal. 12 meetups a year, once a month. Probably in the summer, we can aim for London because we have more time to travel. And I think it'll be fun. And, maybe just stay there for a week for myself, do the market open, market close from an Airbnb, and just keep going from there. It'll give an excuse to drive the Tesla around as well. So that will help when it comes to road tripping. I got the Tesla charged for the first time yesterday. It was a cool experience. I liked it. It was way more relaxed than like at a gas station. Granted, it took longer than a gas station, but still, it was pretty cool, and it was way cheaper than a gas station too, which was nice. And that was fun to see. All right, word of the day is mosey. Word of the day is mosey.
Mosey.
To wander or shuffle about leisurely, stroll or saunter. On his day off, he decided to mosey over to the park after breakfast. The student had no plans, so she decided to mosey through the university bookstore for an hour. Basically, when I drive my Tesla, I'm literally moseying through my city, through my neighborhood, just driving to drive for the hell of it. So I've been doing a decent amount of moseying. I will be getting the charger installed in my house probably this month. Just haven't done it yet. But yeah, that will be happening soon. Are you going to drive cross country in the Tesla? Probably not cross country. Probably over the East Coast I would do it, but cross country, maybe. I just don't want to drive across the whole country in the Tesla. I'd rather just take a flight at that point. But definitely through the East Coast, we'll do that. It's going to be bigger than the Swifties tour. It'll be fun, dude. It'll be fun. It'll be really fun, though, to see everybody. Maybe we'll mosey around the world to meet his viewers. And it's cool, dude. I mean, I think it's important to connect with people that are watching in any creative space, whether you are a YouTube streamer, whether you're, an artist, a musician, an actor, like any creative space that has some level of audience. I think you want to connect with that audience and meet with them and talk to them and, get them to say the mean things they say in the chat in person. We'll see if Davis is a tough guy in person. But no, it's definitely important. I want to do it. And I think long term, that's how you continue to build a authentic relationship with the audience. Boston, DC, New York, Miami, London, Philly, Dallas, Toronto, LA, Las Vegas, Seattle. That's what we're looking at. That is what we're looking at. We got Ty Zuko. I got to meet you. You gave me the Miracle Whip idea, bro. I got to meet you. So again, for those that are confused, Miracle Whip is like mayo. So it's like an inside joke. A whip is like a car. And then it rolls off the tongue. That's the Miracle Whip. I was thinking about it literally the other day. I was thinking like, do I like the name? And then I was like, oh, I'm about to hop in the Miracle Whip. I'm like, yeah, I like that. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I was like, all right. So like, we pick up a girl on a date. You're like, welcome to the Miracle Whip. Like either she's creeped out by that or she's like, she's either like, what is this stupid Miracle Whip? Or she's like amused by that. It's one or the other. We'll see if the ladies think that's a cool name for the car. We'll see. I think it's a cool name. I like it. I like Miracle Whip. I think it's fun. But I like it. All right. That is it. We will be back on the market close. Yeah, dude. Oh, Bitcoin's trying to get back to 86 right here, back at 87. If Bitcoin holds 90 today or 88, I think that's a win. If it goes back down to 85, then we're in a little bit of a of a downtrend. Did you put that in your Tesla app, Miracle Whip? You can name their Tesla in the app? Really? You could do that? You could do that? You can name the Tesla? Dude, I gotta name it if that's the case. Right now it just says Model Y. I want to name it Miracle Whip. You can name it? Really? That's a thing? How do you name this shit? Model Y. Okay, I'm gonna figure out how to name it. That's really cool. Yeah, we gotta call it the Miracle Whip, bro. That's so cool. Tap it. You could tap it. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, we're gonna name it then. We're gonna name it. If she laps, could be a keeper. Yeah, dude. I think most girls would not love that name, but we all think it's a cool name. But if a girl actually thought that was a cool name, then she's definitely a keeper at that point. Grinder delivery vehicle. Oh my god. By the way, do you guys know DevCon is happening right now for Palantir? DevCon is happening right now, and Chad posted some pictures about it yesterday. Sham Sanker's there. Our boy Jack is there. So if you guys want to go to his account, they're having their official first DevCon, just like they had AIPCon. DevCon. They're executing, bro, multiple events across the entire year with Palantir. So pretty awesome stuff for Palantir this year. All right, I'm going to change the name on it. I'm going to change the name. Yeah, I can see how I can change the name. We will call it the Miracle Whip in the official Tesla app. That's what we're doing. All right, thank everybody. Oklo, ASTS, and Applied Materials after the bell, market close. We'll be back, and we'll keep going from there. Thank everybody. Have a good one. See you in a few hours. Bye-bye.